Alrighty then. What's going on, everyone? Whew, glad to be back. Man. I don't know. Let's see if this thing's even cool here. No, not all that great. Let me see if we're just... Let's see here. Move over here for a minute. All right. That's a little clearer. What do you guys think? A little better? There you go. Something that throws off the autofocus when I put something in front of the camera and go to pull it out there. It's like, it's not completely clear. It doesn't autofocus, right? Hate it when that happens. Anyway, guys, good to have everybody in there. Let's see what we got here. Renee's in there, as usual. Number one. Jim L. Hi, Chris. What's going on? What's going on, Jim? Lancaster. What's going on? Got Doc Chuck, Little Chuck. He's in there as well. Good evening to everybody. Emperor 6979. Hello, Chris. Welcome back. Well, glad to be back. Photograph Light and Magic. Hi, guys. Hey, Chris. Your 2 moon videos were awesome. Yeah, like I said, guys, I wasn't able to get any videos out, and it kind of frustrated the heck out of me, to be truthful with you. And I was like, I want to get a couple of them. Let me just give them a couple back to back. You know what I mean? So I figured you guys would like that. And like I said, it kind of keeps my quota in. You know what I mean? Kind of like, well, I usually do about 2 a week. So I was actually going to do a third. Hadn't gotten that one out, though. I wasn't able to, but it'll be out. Don't worry about that. At least not back to back. But we may have it out tomorrow. I have to see. This way we can get more out for you guys. Oops. Hate when that happens. All right. Renee, I like that. I'm first. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Pump it up. Go extraterrestrial aliens, UFOs, and 49ers. What's going on, Richard? Good to have you in there. Libby. He said, greetings, everyone. Good to see you in there, Libby. Mort's in there. Mort Piat. What's going on? John Beck. Oh, there we go. There we go. Hey, Nick. What's going on? Nick Mad's in there. Hello. Nice to join again. Well, good to have you in there. Tommy, you put in there, show some crazy shit out there if you think about it, man. Oh, yeah, there's no doubt about that. No doubt. Brian Norton, what's going on? Good to have you in there. Rick Rocker, rather, Graham. Yeah, it's good to see you in there, Rick. Limey Watcher, hey, what's going on? Good to have you in there. I've been kind of trying to keep up with some of the videos, too. You guys have been putting out, some of you guys that actually do videos. Been trying to catch up on all of them as well. Because like I said, I'm just like you guys. I like to watch good channels too. So I like to get in there and try to do that. But we've been so busy there, and Monday doesn't count because I was still on that long weekend. We're going to call it the little getaway type thing. So came back, just busy doing things around the house, getting some things done, things you want to get done. And just it is. Life gets in the way a little bit. Lancaster, Rowan Tegan. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, I hope. Wish I made it to the last hangout. Well, a lot of times you guys get the same way. Just like I just said, life gets in the way, something comes up, you can't make it to it. It's not a big deal. The good thing about it, I'd rather do it live too, meaning catch everything live. And if you don't, next best thing is be able to see the pre-recorded, so but I'm just like you, Lancaster there. I'm the same way. John Beck, what's going on? X15, good to have you in there. Stephen Hobbs, afternoon, evening, etc. All that good stuff, right? Tony Lahaya. Hello, sir. I am new to your channel. Well, welcome to the channel, and good to have you in there. James Gragan. Hey. Hi, Chris, man. Jesus, man. I hope you had a great, great, good break, or rather, because you definitely made a big return with them Unreal videos and a few in the last few days, man. Just checking in with you. Well, good to have you in there, James. Yeah, like I said, I was, I figured, like I said, I feel weird. I feel out of place if I didn't get at least a couple videos out a week, and because I was jammed, I'm just like, man, I'm just super frustrated. I wanted to get them out, and because I have them, like I've got a few right now, in the photo editor and Photoshop, stuff like that. And I'm just like, man, I just can't get these out. I got about 4 or 5 on this computer and about 3 on that one. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, so now you want to get these things out, and it's, yeah. And because I was behind to begin with, yeah, you see how that went. So it didn't work out too well, let's put it that way. But I was able to get them 2 out for you guys because I think, like I said, I felt like crap not be able to get them out. And I just want to get them out for you guys. I like those, actually. Anything to do with the moon, and I know you guys are on board that as well. I actually like anything that's got to do with anomalous. Something is out of place, don't belong there. Oh yeah, absolutely. I don't care if it's whatever moon, whatever planet, just something else to just throw in there. More knowledge, more stuff going on. Photography Light Magic you put on the first moon video of the crater was pretty revealing. The ground looks very like some of the ground on Mars. Either it's some shit NASA puts on the image, or the moon mob could be Martians. Yeah, I mean, yeah. What I find interesting is that when you get when they start to like manipulate these photos, right? It's got a lot of uncanny looking resemblances, right? And I don't know if you guys noticed, like sometimes you can see like some moon photos, right? They look really good. I mean, clear, where you can just see the craters, they're sharp, everything was pretty good, well, at least relatively good, right? And then you get the ones that I call it like potatoes. It just looks like these weird fake potato looking crap, and it just doesn't look real at all. And I just, that's been fooled with, because how do you go from that to complete trash? I mean, there's a reason for it. They're messing with the photos. That's all there is to it, right? This thing jumped up on me. My bad. I don't think this one's on live here. Let's do this. Yeah, let's do that instead. Octavital Force Edge. Thank you, sir, for your support. If it is a sir or ma'am, I'm not sure, so my apologies. Thank you very much. Good to have you in there as well. This thing's behind over here. I didn't have it on live chat on the other computer, so I want to make sure we're good here. Audio seem okay to you guys? Yeah, it seems pretty good. All right. I can actually do that, because some people will tell you once in a while you get that one, he likes to hear himself talk. Well, there you go. I'll just put the speaker up. Oh, yeah. All right. Now that this thing back down where it needs to be. All right. Let me see. Renee, working. Oh, are you working right now? Jim L, hit that thumbs up button, guys. Yes, sir. Appreciate everyone. Irving Scott, hello, Chris. Did you ever check out what I was telling you about? You're gonna have to refresh my memory. I don't know if it's something you threw on one of my comments or on the Facebook page, whatever it might have been. You just have to refresh my memory there, because, like I said, I've been busy here, and I don't know off the top of my head, to be truthful with you. Persona non grata. Hey, why is NASA Mars 2020 looking like a submarine? It is. Shouldn't be. Should look identical to the other, to the one we got up there now, the 2012 rover. It's pretty much the same thing, same deck, the whole body, except for different instruments. I'm not sure what you've seen or checked out. That would be pretty wild, though. Just goes to tell you, maybe they're going through water. Brian Norton. Yeah, I don't even know what happened with that. What happened to Area 51? A bit of a bust on Area 50. I know there was supposed to be a whole bunch of get-together. People were going to try to do this tailgate party thing. Whatever happened with that, guys? Like I said, I haven't had a chance to even check that out. I know that I saw videos of the people getting together. There's a whole bunch of them. There's people going up to the gods up on the property, so on and so forth. I just don't know what happened after that. I seen it up to that point, and you know what I mean? Did anybody get shot, or did anybody get? It's hard to tell, right? Circumference, you put on a good to see you, Chris. I've been able to watch your videos lately. I've been busy. Well, I feel you, believe me. Same way. And it's even more frustrating when you can't even make the videos. So, I got so many of them, like I said, on here. And I think the computer hates me at times because I got like so much in there and all I do is put it to sleep. I never restart it. So every now and then you get the thing, it'll go glitchy on you. You guys know what I mean. If you ever had like a regular PC and you just never shut it off so it can just restart and do its whole thing, you just put it to sleep and then wake it back up. And after a while, it just basically gives you the finger and gets glitchy on you. So you're like, oh, you piece of crap. But, it is what it is. So, you try to get everything out of anything like Photoshop or whatever, and you can shut the whole computer down completely. And then, of course, turn it back on, let it do its thing, clean out all the garbage, all that good stuff. Phil Cox and daughter, Jessica and Kelsey Brown. Hi, Chris. Hi, everyone. I hope you're all good. I am very good. I hope you are too, Phil, and as well as your daughters. Let's see. Hi, John. Okay. I'm just trying to catch up to these guys. That's all. I don't want to miss anybody, and everybody's glad to be back. So, James, you put on there, Gruenfelder, you said so many crazy objects on Mars. I always see such interesting things. I wish they would rather just come clean and show the real unedited pics. Keep up the great work, Chris. Well, I agree with you, James. I mean, I just wish they would just say, boom, here it is, But, there was, what was that article I just saw on that, speaking of which, and I don't know why I can't see the whole thing on this, but NASA chief scientists were close to finding and announcing alien life on Mars, but is the world ready? Remember we were talking, how many times have we talked about this saying, is the world ready? So this is Dr. Jim Green saying this, chief scientist at NASA. I just thought it was amusing. And I'm saying to myself, what do you mean can the world, what do you mean can the world handle? Of course they can, right? Oh. I don't get that. I'm looking at this and I'm saying, really? And I'm reading this and it says, the world is not prepared for the discovery of life on another planet, even though it may only be a couple of years away, NASA chief scientist. It's almost like they know, but they're just saying, well, we're going to hold it off. Doesn't that seem kind of weird that they would say that? What else did he go on to say? Next summer, 2 rovers from NASA and European Space Agency, ESA, will travel to Mars to drill horizontally, get that, into rocks and deep into the surface in the hoping of finding evidence of living organisms. The missions are the best chance humanity, get this, humanity has ever had answering the question, are we alone in the universe? Dr. Jim Green, who has been instrumental in both missions, told the Telegraph, that's who this is from, the Telegraph at co.uk, co.uk, told the Telegraph that there is a real possibility that one or both will be successful, yet it would be far-reaching implications, and he believes that the world's not ready for it. What? Like I said, again, drip, 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 drip. This is here we go again, right? And you guys know, it's almost like they're setting people up. And that's exactly what I said was going to happen. Then it's going to be like, oh, we found a couple little microbes. And then it's going to be, oh, yeah. Now they're saying there's more water on Mars. Here we go. In fact, I'll try to find that one, too. I'll drop this. Every link I read to you guys, I'll go ahead and drop the link. And you guys can check it out. But I find it funny that, it's almost like he knows. But, we're not going to tell you. It's kind of like, we're just setting you up for it. In other words, let's see how people react if there is life. It's almost like he's taking a poll about it, right? Let's just see how they react to this particular article saying, is the world ready for it? And of course, people are going to, comment back saying, well, of course we're ready for it. Just give it to us. And he's not going to come out and say, by the way, we found actual people running around on Mars. They're never going to divulge that, or there was at one point. But what's wrong with plant life? How is it going to change the world where people are going to freak out? I don't know about you guys, but I'd be like, oh, that's awesome. But I think they're worried about the implications. They're going to say, once we say there's plant life, oh, clearly there must be insects. Clearly there may be birds. There may be other reptiles or whatever. That's what they're going to, because people will make that leap. And I'd be one of them, to be truthful with you, because usually if there's some kind of plant life, something feeds off of it, right? The plants have to feed off something, so on and so forth. So it just seems likely that that's going to be the case. It just makes sense to me, Starman7, he said, great videos today, Chris. Well, I appreciate that, Starman7. Nachos in the house. If the world ain't ready to know about life on other planets, then they are sure as hell not ready to spend our money to go find it. And I agree. I mean, again, I don't know why. Whoop, hit that microphone. I don't know why anybody would think that we're not ready for it. I mean, it's so like blasé now. To be honest with you, it's kind of like if somebody said, "Oh, this." By the way, we found life on Mars. I don't think anybody'd freak. I think everybody would be like, "Oh, that's interesting." And I'm not talking about people like us, like like we delve deep into this stuff, right? I'm talking about the mainstream people. Be like, "Oh, wow, did you hear that? They're talking about Mars as they found some kind of weird plant life or some microbial life." Okay, that's gonna be like, conversation at the coffee shop, and then it's gonna be the end of it. Okay, off to work I go. I don't think it's gonna be life changing information, unless of course they did say, well, we ran across some alien structures. Well, that's a whole different ball game here. You know what I mean? Libby, you said getting real tired of the world's not ready for it. Excuse, lame. Yeah, and listen. I'm gonna go see if I should be able to share this with you guys. I'm gonna give you this. This is funny. I'm going to drop that link, the one I was just reading, that page to you guys. There it is there. You guys can check it out. I think it's amusing because I'm thinking to myself, what do you got to hide? If you're talking about microbial, they're going to be like, okay. But again, I think they're worried about the implications because once you start with microbial, then they're going to have to let the cat out of the bag a little bit more. Then it's going to be, well, wait a minute. We found plant life. Now we found this. Because at some point, they're going to say, well, we came on this particular ridge. We found microbial life, so therefore it's active. Oh, wait a minute. Found something else. Now we found small, what look like little trees or little bushes or whatever. Wait a minute. Ooh. So they're going to kind of like slowly leak it out. And hey, I'm okay with that to a certain degree, but I just wish they'd accelerate the process, right? I'm sure you guys agree with me on that one. Lancaster, Rowan Tegan, you put on the I love astronomy myself. Well, yeah, it's good stuff. Nothing wrong with that. Dietra Van Dorn. Hi, Chris. Keep up the good work. We love you all over here in the center of France. Graz. Hey, well, good to have you in there, man. Good to see you guys in there. Like I said, I get people from all over, man. It's crazy. I love it. It's one of the what's what I want to use. Well, I'd like to go there someday. It'd be awesome. A friend of mine went over there. Absolutely loves France. She can't get enough. She's like, it's something about the place. Just beautiful, Maybe I'll throw it in the bucket list. Oh, really? Heathen Enterprises. You put in a new War of the World series on BBC. Huh. That's cool. The X-15, yeah, it's only approximately 25% of the world's population that's not ready for other world disclosure. I don't know. You think that's the case? You think it's up that many? 25%? I don't know. You may be right, man. You may very well be right because, like I said, a lot of people say, well, it's got to do with religious implications and, well, maybe that'll all fall apart and then be, I don't know. I don't see how that's the case because, like I said, I've talked to people who are highly religious and the first thing they tell me is go, okay. I said, that doesn't bother you? I said, no, why would it? And of course, they'll say God created all. So there you go. Oh, and they're not even in the least bit freaked out about it. So I don't know why these people are assuming that people are going to lose their minds the second they find out there's the littlest life, right? Electrons and movimiento. I'm not sure I'm even pronouncing it, so forgive me. I like your videos, Chris. Subscriber from Mexico. That blue light in your neck looks like a sci-fi movie skin. You like that? Woo! It's like a little pilot light here on the mic itself because it is a powered light. Maybe I should put tape over it so it won't look so goofy. It's like, ooh, blue neck. Let's see. Rolando Alves, hello from Azores. Hurricane Lorenzo now a Category 3 and losing strength. Well, thank God for that. Yeah, some of them things are insane. I don't know about you guys, but they've been saying that we've been getting a lot more of these things. And when we do get them, they're a lot more powerful. Of course, they still claim that, the world's not heating up. We're not having any severe weather changes. And I kind of agree with them to a certain degree, but I don't. You know what I mean? We've talked about this before. And, if we're starting a pole shift, which some actually say we are, well, then of course you're going to have more severe weather in certain areas. It'll be warmer in some areas than when it's not. than it used to be, and then vice versa as far as cold. Yeah. Uh, Octavital, Forced Edge. You said I want to organize a group of 200 people to go up to a glacier, Glacier National Park, and find a secret military base near the Canadian border. I'm trying to remember. What I talked about that a while back. Somebody said something about that. I'm not sure. Hmm. Somebody had mentioned that to me a while back. I don't remember who it was now. Alexander Lima. I've made many discoveries just like you. The biggest evidence of alien structures is in military scientific mission Clementine. Absolutely. The Clementine mission alone, just look at some of the photos. Some of them are really bizarre. I mean, and again, if you see any photos of the moon during that time, whatever, there's just so many, you can just see where it's been covered up. In fact, I got one here. It was, I'm trying to remember what mission it was. I want to say Apollo 11, but I'm not sure. But anyway, because I got a group of these things coming out. And one of them was just wild. What they did was, this is great. Well, watch out for that tower. I almost broke my kneecap, and I think it only weighs 70 pounds. Anyway, so the way they get this photo, it's like on the right side is completely dark, on this side is completely left. Well, if you try to brighten up one area, it makes this one super bright. If you want to darken to see what they either it's hidden, or it may be just the side of the window and the light is reflecting off, right? It's the way they did it. It makes it real hard for you to find out what's in this photo, and that's what's really goofy. But I did find some crazy things in that photo, so that video is going to be coming out pretty soon too. Heaton Enterprise original double album storyline. Photography like magic. If they told the truth, there would be a lot of questions to be answered. Maybe how many people involved in the cover-up would be going to jail for a long time. Or they could just claim, well, it just wasn't our fault. We were being misled ourselves through our higher government, and they'd probably get off with a technicality. You know what I mean? That's the way I look at it. I don't think they would to a certain degree. Now, if you're talking about the higher ups, like in JPL, NASA, ESA, and anything else, yeah, there may be a couple heads will roll on that one. I don't know. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, but maybe they should go to jail to tell the truth to humanity. They being doing us all a favor and not some pussy government entity. Yeah, I agree. I mean, some heads should roll anyway, right? Because how many times have we how come these, how come they won't tell the truth? And I think it's a crime that they're just doing that to people. Let me see here. $786 Auto. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you for the support. Always a pleasure, and good to see you in there as usual. That's weird. It's like I seen at the top of the page here that you had supported the channel. I'm going, okay, why don't I see it here while I'm scrolling down? It's not even here, but yet I can see it on the video that I'm watching it. I can see it in there. That doesn't make any sense. I'm literally looking for it right now, and I don't even see it. Octavital Forced Edge. I seen his. Now yours. The donation you just gave me, I can't see it. It's not even on here. But that one there is the one I'm watching the video on. I can see it perfectly. Figure that out. And that was just before Colin Gibbs, just under his. But yet, I got it on live chat, so there's no reason I shouldn't see this. That's weird. So many of us aware now. Okay, let me see if I can find that one there. I thought maybe I jumped over it. I didn't. It's right there. Renee, you put in there, Chris, can I get the wrench so I can be a wrench mod to block and ban trolls? I'd be so humbled. Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, I think it's just comical. We get them every now and then. It's just wipe them off like a bunch of dead flies. That's the way I look at it. try as they may. And I don't care if they do come on the channel. They're not doing anything to me. They're not hurting me any. I don't know if it's hurting any of you guys, but it ain't hurting me any. I think it's just a waste of their time, to be truthful. But yeah, I mean, something to consider in the future. Fred Sobel. If there's a vast array of civilization, each different than the other, so much so that we are facing infinite realities, not just one, is human ready to accept this almost incomprehensible truth? Well, see, now, if you start going into that, in other words, there's so many other variances to like these civilizations and these, we're going to call them humanoids or inhabitants, call them what you want of any planet, right? That'd be a huge step, because now you're talking about, because the first thing people would think about is what? Oh my God, are they going to kill us all? Or is this one here a friendly race? Is that one there or not? And it would make sense. I mean, that's kind of a legit reason to be afraid. So that's why I said, even if they just put a little bit out there, like they are, just slow dripping, and that's what they're doing. And that's what I think that, I think they're going to continue to do. But they're going to, like I said, they'll let the cat out of the bag a little bit more here and here. They're even now announcing the moon's got a lot more water than they thought. It's just progressively coming along. And the funny thing about it, this is not new information. This information has been out for years. Mars, the moon, all had water for the longest time. They're just now coming out with it. And I've been saying that, like I said they had a water cycle and everything before they even announced it. And it didn't take much to figure it out. I don't have to be a scientist there to figure it out. Like I said, you're seeing clouds. You're seeing the returning caps. Where are they going when they do melt? Because they have to come back. So they say it's pressure. It's just carbon ice. No, it's not. So on and so forth. They said there's water underneath the actual dirt. And I forgot how much there was per, I think it's 3 meters, which is like 10 feet. So it's kind of like, all right, I get that. But you know what I mean? That it's like, there's an abundance of it. And that's the whole key. And now they're just starting to say, well, there's more. Now there's more. Now there's more. So before you know it, yeah. John Lewis, you put on there, you're doing a great job, mate. Keep it up. Well, thank you, man. Cheers. Yeah, we just keep rocking and rolling, right? Cassidy, you put on there. Rowan Tagan, yeah, put on there. Speaking of wrenches, I never noticed you ever had any on your Hangout. I don't need them. Like I said, they'll come and go. You know what I mean? All you guys got to do is just alert me to it. Got one. All right. Boom, off. Whatever they do, swear, talk nasty. It doesn't matter. We're all adults here. We'll just be like, oh, there's another one. Next. Throw them off. That's the way I look at it. I just find it amusing because I never go to anybody else's channel and do that to anybody's channel. I just don't feel the need to do it. So when I see them do it, I think it's comical, to be truthful with you. Daniel Webster, you put on the Clementine pictures are much better than the crap that NASA gave us, even though NASA had cameras just as good as Clementine. Matter of fact, they were 20 years ahead of their time. Yeah, absolutely. Well, like I said, even the cameras they took on the Apollo missions, right? Those were like phenomenal. I mean, they were like close to HD. However, every time you go to see these photos, like I said, when you put it up on the screen, you go, man, that photo looks great. Don't try to zoom into it, though. It's complete crap. It literally falls to pieces within a couple zooms. It's like it just starts to degrade. And it's like, it's like I said, I think they get the real ones, they put it through a computer, and it downgrades the resolution, and it gives them a chance to cover up anything they need to cover up, whether it's back then when they used the clear acetate, and they just put it over the original, did all the doctoring they had to do, and this is a known fact. It's just not me pulling out of my rear end. That's a fact. And you can look that up. And in fact, I think it was Donna Hare that said the same thing, that she said they seen them literally doctoring these photos up. So it's not a secret. They've been doing it for years, since before the Apollo missions, because they had the LRO. So this is nothing new. Yeah. And, when you look at some of these things, some of them look great. And the reason why they look great is because there's nothing in there to cover up. So it looks, you don't see any kind of manipulation or obfuscation anywhere in it. You're just like, well, why does this photo look so clean and pristine? Because there's nothing in it to block. So they can just give you the clearest picture. Mick Sinclair, you said, hi, Chris, fantastic work as always. Chris, what happened to San and his excellent work? Does he still do it? No, he does not. He actually does vaping videos. He switched onto that. His channel's still up, but he doesn't do anything at it. He thought about getting back into it. But he hasn't. I guess he's doing pretty darn good with the vaping channel that he's got. If you're interested, I can give you the link to it. He's doing he's doing great over there. He's funny as hell, to be truthful with you. He does these reviews of different mods on those and different e-liquids and all that stuff. And he just some of the editing, he makes you laugh. I'm telling you, it's great. Custom tailored one. The government will give full disclosure during Trump's second term. I'd love to see that happen. I really would. I'm doubtful, but I'd love to see it happen. Just like they said when Hillary was supposed to get in, that she's going to demand. You ain't going to demand nothing. You're a puppet. You know, the our president is nothing more than a puppet, and these people are far above that. You know what I mean? They're just, you know what I mean? They're above that, and they just go, listen, you don't need to know anything. Just go ahead and do your presidential stuff. That's pretty much what they tell them. Starman 7, you said great community here. Yeah, it's because all you find people. It's what it's all about, you know? Natural Libre, guys, whack that thumbs up button so it makes a dent in your table. Ooh, that would be bad. You're either going to dent the table or break your hand, whichever comes first. But yeah, hit that thumbs up button. Always appreciated, guys. You know that. Interdimensional. Absolutely, Libby. And that's the thing. I think a lot of people had been saying that because I think what is it? We up to 13 dimensions now? It was 11 before. This is like years back. I think we might be up to 13 dimensions now. So, and they're always trying to push the envelope to try to see if they can somehow. They think I think they're thinking that these things come through different dimensions. In other words, it's not from far away somewhere. They're literally coming through other dimensions, which means they could be right on the side of you in a different dimension. How freaky is that? Crazy. Uh, Jiang, you put I'm following since a year or two, always there now. What is your background? I'm not sure what you're talking about. Background. Uh, yeah. Give me a little more detail. Exactly what background you're talking about? My life background or something? Let me see. Kenneth Lair, appreciate you, man. Chris, your work is phenomenal. Well, I appreciate you, man, and I appreciate the support. You guys are awesome. You know that. Oh, let me see. All right. Oh, hell. I'm supposed to do that. Here we go. Octavital Forced Edge. If I was a whistleblower, I would get it all out. I don't care what happened to me. I'm for humanity, not myself. And I totally agree with you. I mean, well, here's the thing. If you were a single guy, you'd probably, you know what I mean, just tell the whole world, right? And that would make sense to me. If you got a family, though, these guys, they got you right by the nads. And, you know, because right off the bat, because you know you're not going to jeopardize your family in any way, shape, or form. So you got to be like, I'm just going to have to shut up. That's all there is to it. You know, you're just going to have to watch out, you know? You put on the yes, I'm convinced dimensions play the biggest role in travel from other beings and their home locations. And that may be the truth. Um, so, you know, yeah, I mean, like I said, if it's interdimensionally, like I said, you could literally have, you know, somebody right on the side of you in a different dimension, which is like really freaky when you really think about it. It's pretty cool at the same time, right? Well, that could be. Again, Octavital Force Edge, you put in there. Thank you again for the support. Trying to propose that most of these beings are coming from our universe is lacking consciousness. Well, okay, it makes sense. That's a good possibility. It's hard to tell, though, right? It really is. Yes. 786 Auto. Did you hear Elon Musk from SpaceX denying existence of aliens and extraterrestrial life on yesterday rocket showcasing? Seems to me as he has been spending too much time with NASA. Where that come from? And exactly. See, here's the weird part. I didn't catch the whole thing. I probably caught no. I'm not even lying to you guys. I probably caught 15 minutes of it. And I was just on there. Oh yeah, all right. So you get the rocket together. He said it took him like a few months. So in other words, of course, all the plans and all that stuff was built, but they ended up putting together like 3 or 4 months. I think he said. And what the guy said. Do you remember what the guy said at the end? He says, he was asking him, what was it about the life support, renewable life support and stuff like that. And so when Elon answered his questions at the end, he goes, "Oh, by the way, I still don't believe you about the aliens." And he said right like that to Elon. He just kind of, he absolutely knows this crap. Listen to me. If you're ass deep in with NASA, you know darn good and well, and you're a big financial contributor, or you're literally letting them use your rockets. Yeah, he's probably going, listen, guys, you're gonna have to give me something here. You know what I mean? Let me know what's going on. So you know as well as I do, he's in the know. You know darn well. You know, when I seen that, and I didn't watch the whole thing, but here's another phenomenal thing. I don't know if you guys were listening very well, but did you hear what he said about the rocket when he said, "Oh yeah, about 3 months we can get to Mars." 3 months. It takes them 9 to get there when they were doing it with the rovers. 9 months. He said 3. That's neat. So yeah, I could think they can get there a whole lot faster than they're claiming, and in fact, it's even faster than 3 months. Somebody said it was like it was down to like 20 days. On some of these top secret propulsions that you can literally get there in X amount of time, like 20 days tops. Brett Butterfield, you asked UK in the house? Oh, I'm sure there are. Yeah, there definitely is. Paul Lennon, you put on there, keep rocking, Chris, enjoying tonight's talks. Well, it's good to you guys, man. You guys are the ones that bring up the questions and talking with each other. I can't complain. Got a great community here. Chris, yes, you can. You said, can I send you a picture that is loaded with anomalies? It's from Apollo missions. You can. I mean, I've got either Mars anomalies at AOL.com, or you can go to my Facebook page. If you got Facebook, just look up Mars anomalies and beyond. And you can just actually you can instant message me, or you can message me. And a lot of people get, I got something I want to tell you, but I'm afraid. No, it doesn't go on the main page. It just goes right to my message area, and I read it. Nobody else sees them. So, and then of course, if you want me to share a video of your work or whatever, then I'll just go ahead and, I can make a video. If it's something that, it's going to be like wow factor, like it's truly boom, it's right there in your face. Yeah, absolutely. We'll definitely do that. But yeah, you can send it to either or. ABS 0303, good day from Australia. Good to see you in there from down under. 1010, Cray 1010. Yep, UK here. Scotland, in fact. Scotland in the house. Jean Angus French from Quebec. Mark Lewis says, I'm UK. Stephen Hobbs, yep, a Brit here. That's what I'm saying, man. You guys are from all over, man. It's awesome. Sky Team Galaxy. You said, hi, Chris. Did you see the photo of some kind of ship on Mars? There's actually a ton of them out there. I'm not sure which one you're talking. If you want to elaborate, if you got a link to it, you can always drop it in here. There's several actually. Somebody, in fact, one of you guys had just shown me a video, and I think I checked it out. It was last night. I looked at it, and it was kind of hard to see some of the things. Some of them look like, just natural phenomenon, like a mountain, and you got this like wind blown area that goes around it. So it looks like it has this tail end to this thing. And some of them actually are questionable. They are different from, just your natural surroundings, when I use the term. But some of them really hard to see, really hard to tell. Nacho said if they can get there in 3 months, you can be 100% sure they have manned missions going there as well. No doubt whatsoever. Yeah. Again, guys, they've been doing this for years. Think about it. Again, let's say you're part of a big think tank. Apollo missions, yeah, they said, well, we forgot all the technology in it. Bull, come on now. Because a lot of you guys can put two and two together. I heard a couple of you guys put on there. You can't get to the moon, but you're sending, rovers to Mars. Now, I understand what they're saying. They're not saying the technology as far as they're saying some are saying about the spaceship itself, the spacecraft getting there. We know it's a bunch of crap because they did it to begin with. It'd be so much easier today. And I think they've been doing it. I don't think they've ever stopped. Although they'll claim that. Because think about it. If they put that in your head, well, we kind of lost the technology. And to me, it's a lost technology as far as I'm concerned. Because think about that. It was so straight and cut. There was really no computer on board. It was just like, just toggle switches and momentary switches for yaw and roll and all this other stuff. There really wasn't any computers. There were sensors that the ground could see. So if it was a computer, it was only for onboard diagnostics, and that the ground could see that, because they had to fire on one of the missions. And so they could see all that. They can go, yes, we see that. In fact, there was a transcript about that, and they're saying that they said, we got a fire on board, and yeah, we see that. So, of course, they solved the problem, whatever. So, yeah, they know what's going on. And there's no doubt in my mind they've been to Mars, to the moon. Like I said, if you know you can do it, why would you stop? It's kind of like I said, when they first built the first car, they go, well, it's electric. Well, then they decided to build a combustion engine, so on and so forth. Look at the stuff they got today. It's insane. The cars they got today. I mean, people think electric cars are new. No, they've had them since way back in the day, since the late 1800s, 1890, 1892, somewhere roughly around there. And, of course, it wasn't fast enough that you couldn't go very far with it. So crude, right? And then, of course, they just went to combustion. And, of course, steam, combustion, all this other good stuff. So, yeah, there's no doubt in my mind, Nacho. Yeah, 100%. Hey, Caster, good to see you in there. He said, bye, guys. I have to go. I hope you have yourself a good night, man. Good to see you in there. Max Wiegler. Yeah, my name is Big Chungus. Greetings from Switzerland, my brother. Oh, good to see you in there. Christian, you put on the, I think governments are afraid of the consequences of the truth. They're afraid for their own supremacy. Well, I think in some ways you want to say, well, their government would be screwed. In other words, let's say NASA was caught with their pants down, or they were red-handed, caught red-handed. Everybody would be on them, right? It would be people would be pissed. You lied to us, da, 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 da. And most people would think, well, NASA will fall because of it. I don't think so. Because when you get, like I said, I think all of these space agencies are like a united federation kind of thing of space agencies, kind of like, United Nations we have. Only the difference is they're up and above every government, and they don't care. They'll be just like, well, it wasn't our fault, blah, 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 blah. Who knows what they'll put out, right? Somehow they get off with it, guarantee it. There's no doubt in my mind. Octavital, again, thank you for your support. I believe the extraterrestrial policy since the advent of the cameras is to use cloaking measures rather at all times now, or as much as possible. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Everybody knows this too. The more people get phones, regular cameras, P900s, P1000s, the bigger telescopes, so on and so forth, to see the real deal. At some point, they're going to have to, it's almost like they can see it. They can see it coming. The public's getting up there. It's like they're here. Now, with all the technology, the public's catching up to them. At some point, they're saying, man, something's going to give. We're going to have to start doing something about this. We're just going to have to just slow drip, but let's be ahead of the curve. In other words, before the public finds out about it. Whether it be, like I said, at some point, they're going to just like, we just need to be ahead of the public, or they're going to say, what happens if they catch up to us, and now we got to come clean. So by doing this slow disclosure and then staying ahead of the ball, the 8 ball, yeah, that's what's going on. George Nelson, I think Edison built electric cars in small quantities for a short time. I think you're right about that, George. And like I said, they were really crude. I mean, they had like 1, 2 batteries, and of course there was, nothing compared with even the batteries are today. Because if you think about it, look at the golf carts. I mean, some of these things can do 30, 35 miles an hour just on batteries. And of course, the gas ones can do faster than that. And of course, if you mod the electric ones, they can go faster, so on and so forth. Pretty cool. Agama Gama. Hello, Chris. Love your work. Greetings from Portugal. Well, good to have you in there. I must be late for you, so I appreciate you being here. Brett Butterfield, you put in there, Chris, have you found something that you won't show the public? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I would show you guys in a New York second. Here's the thing. I even said this before. And, it's weird because I've actually talked to my wife about this. She said, what would happen, though, if somebody actually did that? They actually gave you information or a picture that would literally, blow this wide open. Well, that's a really tricky question because it's like, you don't want to put your family at harm. So you're like, no, I'm not going to do that. On the other side of the token, like I said, I don't know how these astronauts did it. You want to let it out, but you're like, I can't. I mean, I just can't. But I would. Some way, somehow, I'd figure a way to get it out. Either through me or somebody else. Excuse me. Through me or somebody else, I'd figure a way to get the information out. But no, absolutely not. I would love to have some inside information where, like I said, somebody said, hey, man, I got to share this with you. And it was totally anonymous, or anonymous, rather. I'm actually looking at this picture right here. It says anomalous. But so if they were to do that and they said, I don't want my name shared, or it was totally no name on it, no way to get back to the person, they just said, here it is. It's like the same question you have to ask yourself. Would you give it out? Some people would say, yeah, absolutely. But again, you have to worry about your family. But yeah, I would absolutely give it out. I would figure one way or the other. If I didn't do it, I'd figure a way to get it out. Through some other channel, some other way, I'd get it out. High grade gaming. For all of the money we are spending, NASA should not be talking about going to the moon. We did that 50 years ago. They should be focused on the much bigger things we are doing, including Mars. Oh yeah, trust me. They're not only focused on it. They're actually active in it. You can just bet on it. Again, it's kind of like it's like why do you think there's big bum rush to go anywhere? Like there's more countries trying to go to the moon now. I don't know if you guys seen the latest one about what was it between, India, of course, we can see some of the photos were hacked in there. China, India's latest, supposedly failed mission. They know exactly where the area is, but they can't find the actual lander. Funny that. And the funny thing about that part is I go, okay, so let me just check out some of the photos that they had with the, some of these, other ones they had between India, China, India, all of these. Well, wait a minute. There's 1, 2, 3. Including the United States. There's 3 others up there now, or been there. Let me see. Yeah, there's like 3 or 4 of them, countries up there. And the funny thing about it, every one of them, in fact, there's a couple of photos I'll be doing. You can just see how they just took the whole background right out. When they talked about that new substance, that glassy substance, it's a colored, get this, colored glassy, but yet they're not really showing very clearly. It's very vague, and you really can't see too much of it. But look in the background, it's completely blotched out. Completely taken right out. There's something next to that area where that glass is that's literally laying on the ground. Look at the photos clearly. Just take a really good look at them. You can see where they actually use what looks like compression marks or artifacts all in the back. You can see where it's brighter, but yet there's these gray looking artifacts, almost looks like compression artifacts in the back, covering up different areas of it. Have a good look at those. You'll be like, what? There's no way. Mike Hoover, you said, what kills me is day after day, they try to convince us their camera technology is not good enough to give us clear pictures. You're only as sick as your secrets. And that's true. I mean, as well, I said this a million times. If you're going to send a machine to any other planet or moon, the first 2 instruments, eyes and ears. And they probably did this way back in the Viking days. They put ears on it as well. Why would you not? It's so much easier to send a soundbite than there is to send photos or videos. Takes up a whole lot less data to send, right? So why wouldn't they do that? And I think they have. I absolutely believe they have. And they've, think about it. If you're listening and you hear like birds, wouldn't that just blow your mind? That would be crazy. Or something moving around on top of the lander or rover or whatever it may be. Oh, absolutely. John Beck, thank you, sir, for the support. Keep on keeping on, Chris. Well, I sure will. Like I said, as long as you guys are here, I've got videos to make. That's all there is to it. And I enjoy sharing it with you guys. So I appreciate your support, man. Let me see. Yeah, I mean, like I said, they're going to put the creme de la creme of cameras on there. Caltech makes the cameras for the MRO, the rovers, and they're like top notch stuff. They say it's only a 2 meg camera. I find that hard to swallow. I don't think that's the case at all. I think it's much better than that. I think it's much, it may be like a 20 meg camera. Now, although that doesn't change in quality, it's just the size of the photo, right? But they're going to put the best equipment they can. It's like why would you send a rover that's supposed to be able to see with its cameras? And why would you just put subpar in there? It don't matter. We'll spend billions of dollars on designing this thing and send it to Mars, but you know what? Just throw a piece of trash in there, just some kind of little 2 meg camera. It'll be fine. We can get by with that. They're not going to do that. It's going to be the best eyes you can put on anything, and that's the way it is. But when you see a lot of these Martian photos or prior and any LRO photos to the moon, what do we see? Decent photos and some of them complete trash. Why? Because there's things being hidden in them. And if everybody just has a good look at them, they'll see exactly what I'm talking about. And I've done videos on that. So, yeah. SC is in the house. Good to see you, Nick. SC. They do. W, you put on there, Japan has an orbiter at the moon currently, the Kagoya. That's the one I just did the video on. Also, they never showed unedited continuous footage orbiting the moon. There was one, wasn't it JAXA? Japan had done that? They had one that was continuous. But if you look at it, it's so, my God, you could just see, again, I use that like potato kind of thing. It just looks real fake. It's just like you can see where they went over so many areas. And then in some areas, they skipped over and they made a mistake because you can just happen to make out something right there. And you just, it's like either a square, rectangular structure. Doesn't look like it's mountainous ridge or some kind of crater. It looks like something totally out of place. And yeah. Cover UFO magazine really was on the cover. You realize the scale of artifacts makes Individual Giants reality. 3,000, 1.5 miles and buildings tens of miles across is why NASA hides truth. Well, you put on the Cabeus crater. Yeah. Well, yeah, isn't that the one they did nuke that, right? I'm trying to remember what photo that was. I think I got it over here, come to think of it. I'm trying to remember if that's the one that they had, was they were actually talking with the Ames Research Center, and it actually has a photo under the guy's forearm where it shows square structures. And you can see that. In fact, I'll give you guys the link to this. It's wild. At that time, when they were literally bombing this area, that's what they claim. I think it was the Cabeus crater. I could be wrong. But one of the ones they did actually crash when they crashed at that nuclear warhead, that first craft, and then they had the other one behind it. It sniffed any of the debris that came up, and then, of course, at least according to them, and then, of course, it crashed. I'm wondering if they said, okay, boom, explode, and then they went in close to see if they destroyed the area that they were trying to destroy, as opposed to trying to sniff whatever come up from the lunar surface, right? Well, if you look at this, guy just zoom into this, it's funny as hell. There's the link right there. I just dropped it, and it's got the guy just under his forearm. It's got that photo, and you can see what looks like a square object, but look really close to the right of it. There's all kinds of like arch structures and stuff like that. You got to take a really good look at that. Oh, thing just jumped up on me here. Do, 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 do. Let me see. Octavital Forest Edge, you said on there, NASA is just a military organization that has been covered up by name only to make it look like they are for the public. Yeah, well, I think, to be truthful, I agree with you. What I think there's the PR part of it, meaning for the public, and then there's the black ops, so to speak. I think there's much more going on. They have that section strictly for the public, and then they have um, the more scientific, the much more top secret stuff. I think there's like two sides to that organization. What do you guys think about that? I just do. I just believe there's two sides to it, and I think while you've got the rovers on Mars or anything they put on the moon, if they put it on there, I think there's like cameras. They'll take photos and everything else for the public, and then there's the one that can take live feeds and really good quality photos for them, meaning the top secret part of it, organization, it's much higher branch. So I believe you're right. I mean, it is militarily run. At least that part is true. So yeah. Have you seen the so-called secret video of Mars landing from the 70s and from 2011? I don't know about the 2011, but I think I seen the one. Well, wait a minute. Now, which one was it? Because it actually showed that they were orbiting. It looked like it was orbiting Mars, and I think they had landed. It showed, and it looked like something was moving. Is that the one you're talking about, Juan? It looked like there's something moving just outside the window on the ground. I don't. If I had seen it more than once, like a different perspective or a different quality, or came from, because the quality, if I remember, is crap. So I don't know how true that is. I'm kind of on the fence about that video. James Cregan, you put on there, Chris, man, in all respect to you, I have to be honest when I say the video that you have made today is undeniable proof of past or present civilization on the moon. It's just really easy to see, man. Well, the whole idea of giving you guys the photos, not just what I do, because, some people say, well, you're doctoring these things up, so therefore it could be made into anything. No. This is the reason I want to give you guys the actual links. You guys can take it. And a lot of people have told me the same thing. Chris, to be truthfully, I thought maybe, you were really over embellishing the photo. But then when I did it and I looked into this thing, I'll be damned if I didn't find the same stuff you did. So it's not just me. It's this, and in a lot of these photos, and of course, I did put on, I don't know if you guys have seen it on my Flickr page. I did put on there the Jackson crater photos, which I did to the prior video. And of course, the, what was it there? Let me see if I can find this thing real quick for you guys. I did get rid of the page. Probably did. That's not good. Let me see. Let's see. Yeah, they put on there the Jackson crater as well as the Cayugu. Oh, Kaiguyu. Oh, that's too funny. Let me see if I can get this here. Bring it up real quick. All right, there we go. And I put those up there as well. I said, I was just going to put up the other photos, but I decided to put those up as well. Let me see here. Okay, Kaguya, put those up there. And I've got the other ones too, my prior one. I've got the Jackson crater photos as well. I'll give you guys the link to the albums. You guys can check out these as well. Because I figured I'd drop that too, the Jackson crater ones, so you can actually have a close-up look as well as a Kayugu. So you guys can check that out too. But I want everybody to have the links that I do in the video so you can check it out for yourself. Because that's what it's all about. There's things I've done in these videos where you guys just look at it and go, Chris, I found so much more. And like I said in my last moon video, it might have been the prior one, but on one of the moon videos, I actually said that. I said, guys, I'm going to actually jump over a lot of these small things. In fact, somebody said that. They said, oh, man, you missed a lot of small things. And that's fine. I was trying to bring out the stuff that jumped out at me right away. If I was to fine tooth comb that thing through the whole video, it'd be like extremely long, and I didn't want to do that. So I brought out the things, and then I brought the actual larger things in Jackson Crater. And just to me, these things are just phenomenal. And I think either we in the past have landed there or other civilizations have. I mean, if this moon, and of course it's pure speculation, if we go by what the ancients say, like the moon just suddenly appeared one day, think about that. Where did it come from? Now, let's suppose for a moment, it's off somewhere else in another solar system, just for argument's sake. What took place over there in that solar system when that moon was there? Again, pure speculation, but it just makes you wonder if it did actually was somewhere else and it was brought here, like some of them say, then to me it would make sense that something else might have visited that moon a long time ago. How do we know? X-15, yeah, you put in there 4 billions and billions and billions of U.S. taxpayer cash. Those cams better be 100%. Oh, you can guarantee it. Like I said, these things are capable of focusing in and zooming in, and oh my god, you know, like I said, there's no way if I'm gonna. It's like you when you see these people going deep water expeditions, right? They're not gonna bring some lame 1990s camera down there. They're gonna bring the creme de la creme of what they can find. 4K video. Now they got 8K. They're literally going down in these pristine photos, absolutely gorgeous photos in these oceans and stuff like that. Again, if you're gonna go down there and take the chance, because think about the pressures in these oceans that are insane, right? So you want to have you just want to do it right the first time because and you want to take as many snapshots as you can. Let's suppose for a moment, like when we talk about the lander, like the Viking lander back in the 75, 76. Let's suppose, again, great camera, probably had some airs on it, and they took these photos. That thing could die anytime. You don't know if the thing's going to land in some hole or something's going to happen to it because they talk about these 300-mile-an-hour storms, windstorms, everything else. They're going to take the photos as soon as they can. They're going to snap off all kinds of photos, send it as fast as they can, and that's what it comes out to. So it's kind of like what they're doing with the rover. It's on its secondary motherboard, the 2012 rover. It's on its second motherboard, the redundant board. And they're saying, okay, why would they mess around looking at garbage on the ground or these hills off in the background? So, oh, yeah, they're just hills. No, they're not. They know time is precious. They know that motherboard or whatever can go haywire in that thing. And that'll be the last time they hear anything. But because it's been since 2012, right? And of course, we had the Sojourner was kind of a failure. Just took a few snapshots. It was the lander that took more photos. But then you got the opportunity and you got the Spirit rover. They did their job. They took photos and everything else. And of course, you can see how they manipulated those photos. And then you got the 2012. Again, they've seen a ton of this stuff. They don't even probably care if that thing took a dump tomorrow. They've taken so many photos of Mars and whatever's in in the area that they're in. Of course, they say Gale Crater next to Mount Sharp. And funny enough, you always see it in the same spot. It just seems like it's like turning around and it's not really going very far. But they claim it's supposed to be a 10-mile trip from where it landed to the base and then follow it along and then go up the mountain. I think they're already there, but they claim that they're not. I think they're seeing something on there much more than, we can even imagine. Daniel, you put in there, I've heard that they will never give full disclosure unless they are giving full immunity. Well, that could be very well be true. Yep. SC, yeah, I did. Chris, did you ever see the videos of the rover on Mars with insect swarm flyby? I've seen one that was like that, and I've actually seen some of them in the still pictures, right? Where you can actually see like a bunch of them, and then of course you see like one or two, and what you can see in there is like a blur, which indicates the direction it's going. So if it's just flying by, people go, well, it's dust. Okay, so let me get this right. You got this 1 micron of dust and no other dust in the area. It's just that one. Come on. And like I said, you can see it. There's two of them I've done, I think, videos of what look like insects flying in the air or some kind of bird. And the reason why you say insect or bird, because you go, well, that's quite a difference in size. Well, we don't know how close it is to the camera. It could be just real close to it, just zipping right by, or it could be like, 100 feet away in the air. We don't know. So, this thing could be anything, but you see a blur. One was going one direction, the other one's going another direction in the videos that I had done. And you can see the blur. It's a motion blur. Okay. So is it just a micron of dust? No other dust in the area? Now, in all fairness, though, they have had hot pixels in photos, right? And you can usually tell those because they'll be like a different color. Now, some of the blacker ones, white photos, not so much. But you'll actually see they do get burnt pixels. And the funny thing about it is, how do we get these dead pixels? Well, it's because the camera gets hot. Well, wait a minute. Didn't they say that Mars doesn't get very warm at all? Wait a minute. So there's days where it's super hot out there. Like I said, it's about 100. It'll hit 100 degrees. And it'll heat up the camera. And, of course, you get these dead pixels in the camera, the photos. Yeah. But, yeah, I have seen that, SC. I have. And like I said, I've done a couple of videos myself that look like these small insects or weird things going by. Dan Herbert, you put on there, love the videos, brother. You've got a killer eye. Question to anyone out there. Someone probably already asked this, so I'm sorry for no doubt asking again, but anyone know what happened to Secure Team? That's a great question, man. He was back, going again for another month. I haven't even checked up on Twitter or anything else. I don't know if anybody else has heard anything about it. But I haven't checked up on it. Last time I checked, and he had said something to the people, and then he got back on. I figured, hey, well, he's back and rocking, but I haven't heard from him again. I don't know if anybody else has. SCU said, hey, Renee, check out my videos after this. I don't know why that had that, that said it had to being health review, just like this one. Here's something to chew over. How can you get 300-mile-an-hour winds with, yeah, exactly. It's like 1% or X amount of percent of the Earth's atmosphere. No gas, no wind. They're full of crap. Well, yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. And people have questioned, how do you get parachutes? If you remember, I don't know if you guys remember how the actual Spirit rover and Opportunity got there, but they were basically these, parachutes, and it would just release, and they were in these giant, look like airbags. And of course, it bounced, and then it came to rest, and then it opened up. The rover came out, did its own diagnostics, and off it went. Well, if that's the case, you'd have to have an extremely large parachute to be able to do that. Doesn't make any sense. It's got atmosphere in there, guys. Don't let them BS you. Daniel Webster, you said in there, I wore an alien hat that the other day at the store, and a man stopped me and asked me, I wore that hat. I said, because I believe they're here and are real. He said, speaking for the Navy SEALs, they are real. Imagine that. I don't know why. But see, again, the military knows this. They know this more than anybody. In fact, they probably know, because again, they're probably running any kind of these space agencies. So they probably say, this is what goes, this is what does not, so on and so forth. Again, why would JPL have like hundreds of people working in a CGI department? What's the point? You're taking pictures of a dead, cold, barren planet. What's there to see? Why do you need to doctrine any photo up to begin with? Think about that a minute. And a lot of people ask me that. Why would they do that? And then they would release them. Well, again, this is what people don't get. We are not, the public is, listen, we're like, just toss it to them after. That's the way they look at us. These scientists, these geologists, and all this other stuff that work for NASA, these people that work for NASA, I think even National Geographic is working hand in hand with them, all this other crap. So, we're not the first ones to see this stuff. So you can bet they have to doctrine these things up. Then they have a look. Now, of course, the people working for NASA, they don't have to see a doctored photo. They can see this. They work for them. So, but then you get, people that they don't want to see this stuff, anybody below anything that's NASA or, top secret government, whatever it may be. And of course, they give us all this whittled down garbage and these, manipulated photos. But again, you're taking photos of a dead planet, kind of like the moon. What do you need to doctrine anything up for? What's the point? What are you trying to hide that the public can't see? That's the bigger question. It's not why would they post them. It's why would you need to manipulate them to begin with? Because it'd be nothing go, oh, by the way, we just got a brand new photo and here you go, public. It just rocks. There's nothing there to see. But yet you look at different parts of it and there's all kinds of, manipulation and, obfuscation done to these photos. I mean, you can only come up to one conclusion. There's stuff there they don't want you to see. I don't care if it's regular plant life. There's still something to see. And they're just not ready to let this stuff out. I don't know why, but that's just the way it is. Uh, Mr. Gossamer. The curiosity pics are abysmal. They get worse and worse. What the? I guess the video. Yeah, I mean, like I said, the cameras on the Curiosity, believe it or not, and they're again, they actually state that they say they're they can take high definition video and videos, photos as well. Where they at? I haven't seen them yet. I think these photos start off as high definition, meaning super clear, super good. But then, like I said, just bring them down to low res. These are okay. This is for us, unedited, high quality. This is garbage. Give it to the public. But before you do that, bring down the resolution of these photos. Then I want you to doctor them up, get them ready for public consumption, and send them out. That's how that works. It's pretty easy, and you can just bet that's exactly what they're doing. And this is the reason why it's like, why are these photos so crappy? It just makes no sense. All right. I'm just trying to get all of these guys. Trying to make sure I don't miss them because every time, like I said, like right now, I'm going to do a cover UFO magazine. It's being held for whatever. I don't know why. Whistleblower Boyd Bushman was a real scientist and worked Area 51 and NASA. And NASA, you put a question mark. He claimed aliens traveled back and forth to their planet in 45 minutes. Yes, he was duped with an alien photo. Read his obit. Have to check that out. So, the second I just did that and just made it, so everybody could see it, boom, the thing just jumped up. So it's like, and then I get some people go, hey, you didn't read my stuff, Louis Scalf, I don't know. You said already military present on Mars. I think you're right about that. I think they have both, meaning they have the scientists as well as military. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm not a big fan of the. They say there's like this weird dinosaur-looking things or something on the planet. Now, is it possible that there's still living creatures on it? Absolutely. I think they're going to be a lot like what we got here. Now, there might be some deviances, from what we have. In other words, let's say like a pig or a hog or something like that. There might be some, differences in that. But I don't think they're going to be so far different that we're just going to be like, what? Like these, they claim that some of them are like, dinosaurs kind of things, where they'll attack you and everything else. I'm not sure about all that. Not that it's out of the question because I like to keep an open mind, but some of it, sounds a little far-fetched. So yeah. Renee Van Oosterhoorn, thumbs up. Bam, smash it. Infinity Forever and Beyond. Hi, all. Love your hat, Chris. I appreciate that. In fact, there was a guy in the SpaceX video when he was doing the live talk and everything else. There was a guy that had the same, the hat on it said the same thing. Adam Leake, you put on there, how different do you think censorship would be if the Brookings report had a different outlook to release info to the public? Well, yeah, to me, it was, since they wrote that, and it was basically the regulations, they were just like, now, if they change that, I think there'd be a lot more forthcoming. We'd be a whole lot farther than we are now. And guys, be honest. Let's suppose it was, and Adam, you make a great point and a great question. Let's suppose it was, and let's say they had no regulations. They just said, well, we're going to this planet. We're going to check out to see what happens. They would probably still have to do slow disclosure, but not like they have been doing since the 50s and 60s. They come out with that. I think it was in the 60s. So I get that because they can't just drop this bomb on people just like immediately, because I think people would lose it, especially even back then. Where today you've got, like I said, you got all kinds of sci-fi movies. You got everything that's like, people would be like, oh, well, so it's something similar to that. Let's say they said there was a spacecraft they found, which they wouldn't. But let's say they found one on the moon and they said it to the people today. Now, first of all, people would be like, oh my God, because they're literally dropping a bomb on people, right? They'd be like, oh yeah, that looks like a lot like the one that was in Star Trek. Remember that? The Borg and all that or whatever. They would literally they'd probably try to equate it to what they saw in movies, sci-fi movies. But back in the day, back in the 60s, people would probably lose it. Today they'd be like, really? Are you sure it's not one of ours? Meaning somebody else on planet Earth that sent something up there and just crashed. Maybe it was a lost mission. Like I said in the one I did about Jackson Crater, that one that looked like that plane. And I'm glad you guys mentioned that, because you guys said, oh, it looks like a down shuttle. Remember I said that? Why can't they send a shuttle to the moon? Why couldn't they do that? Hell, it can come out of the atmosphere and go and build, sit out in space and build the ISS, fly back in there. Why can't it just keep going to the moon? Just put bigger fuel tanks. What? Why couldn't they do that? So it was great that you guys, and in fact, there's about 3 or 4 of you said that. Oh, man, it looks like the shuttle. It looks like the front end of the shuttle. How do we know? Wasn't a failed mission there. And long before they started doing these space shuttle missions, how do we know that that wasn't done prior to that and it was a total failure? How do we know? I don't know. It's cool and it's just bizarre at the same time. It's like, now we got these darn things that are just rotting away in Kakistan and everything else, and these big, buildings and stuff like that. It's just sad to see that happen. Blue Sunset, you put on there, the airbag landing may be plausible considering 38% of the Earth's gravity. I heard they bounced many times for a long time. The new rovers must be too heavy. Well, that's true. They have. They bounced, and finally they came to to a point where they landed, and then of course it just opened up and out came the rover. And what it could do is actually right itself. So if it was upside down, it could literally right itself until it just opened up like a flower kind of thing. Ramp came out, rover came out. But yeah, I mean, that's plausible, but you also have, there's supposed to be no atmosphere. According to them, it's very small, very little atmosphere at all. And, you have to have parachutes, or you have to have something to bring the thing down to a certain part and then go ahead and let it go. Whereas they had the crane that actually brought the Curiosity rover, right? Had its own rocket and everything. It was just a sky crane, and it dropped it down the cable and just let it go. And it was just within feet off the ground, so it didn't hurt it. But so that makes sense, but it just makes people think, you go, wait a minute, there's supposed to be no atmosphere. And then you want to use all of these, they got the helicopter going there, the small helicopter, like a drone, going there with the 2020 rover. Of course they had to make it be able to, cause it's got the two rotors on it, and they want to, they wanted to make sure it can get up enough RPMs to be able to take flight in Mars atmosphere, or the air, cause it's real close to the ground. It's on the ground basically. And, to me, it's just, I think there's more atmosphere than they're claiming. That's all there is to it. And, they showed that, and I showed that in one of my videos where they had like a small test cell and they simulated the actual, flight, the thing taking flight. So, they tried to make it as close as they could to Mars air, and they did. They did a great job on it. So now they got this helicopter going there, and it's like, I did this much more than that. You know what I mean? Infinity Forever and Beyond, I think that they have just lied for too long. Yeah, I mean, again, they can just say, well, I think we had to answer to a higher power. Well, who's the higher power? Well, we can't tell you. And somehow it'll just be thrown into red tape, all kinds of red tape, and you'll never hear a thing about it after that. Yeah, you're right about that, Octavital. Yeah, you put on there, matter of fact, I'm pretty sure that NASA doesn't want you looking at Saturn or its moons. Oh, yeah. In fact, they just had some recent ones come out about the moon. Wasn't it? Was it Saturn? They had one of the moons were eclipsing, or actually not eclipsing, but showed a shadow of it, casting a shadow onto Saturn. I think that's what I read. Nathan Bond, yeah, I bet NASA. You said, I bet NASA moon pics show every bit of detail. Oh, you can bet. Listen, again, they got the LRO. Again, they're not going to put a subpar camera for the time that it went up. And it's going to be the absolute best. And then on top of that, think about it. Let's say you talk to a camera company, more like Caltech. Okay, they were specifically built for the MRO, the rovers, and everything else. Okay, so you can bet they surpass any quality that we may use here on Earth. The best of the best camera you can possibly get. It's going to be the best quality you can get. And so you can bet they're going to see every little nook and cranny on that moon, just like they're seeing in these photos, these Martian photos from the Curiosity. You can bet they see the best of the best. Yeah, I would love to be able to see either one, the moon or Mars, unscrewed with, unmanipulated. I call them manufactured sometimes too, because it's basically it looks like they're manufacturing some of these photos. Like in other words, there's like so little left of the original photo, and most of it's like 90%, manipulation. So yeah. Astro Kid, thank you for your support. I really appreciate that. You said Sunday nights are so awesome. Thanks, Chris. Well, it's awesome because of you guys. I look a little silly talking to myself here, so yeah. But yeah, it's because of you guys, really, what it comes down to. Jennifer Vites, I'm sorry if I'm messing that up. Just join. Can I have a recap? Well, we were basically talking about everything from, hold on, let me just move this over here. The NASA chief saying that we're close to finding and announcing alien life on Mars, but is the world ready? We were talking about that. We were talking about Elon Musk and his talking about his spacecraft and how he says it can get there in 3 months. And there's a bunch of other talk. We're talking about cameras, quality of cameras on the rover, the Curiosity, as well as the LRO, the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter. Different things like that. But good to see you in there, Jennifer. This thing just jumped up on me again. Okay. True Blue, you put on there. I have seen one UFO here in the UK. It was a large V shape with 17 lights, and I watched it for 2 hours. We'll never forget it. I love your channel, Chris. You're doing a great job. Thank you. Well, thank you for that, True Blue. A lot of people have seen those. They look like giant boomerang kind of looking crafts, or these just triangular. And a lot of people have been seeing those, and they're catching them on video. I wish somebody would actually. Here's the weird thing. I was just going to say, I wish they could catch them in better quality. Well, most of the time it's at night. So it's kind of hard. You ever have a camera, it's hard to focus and really get, proper lighting for it. Unless it's seen over a city where you got a bunch of city lights, projecting onto the belly of it, then you can get some good quality photos. But as well as I do, let's say you got an absolutely pristine daytime photo of this thing. People say, that's fake. Would you guys agree or not? You'd think they'd say, oh, it's fake. It's a bunch of trash. What do you guys think? Because it would be so quality that people would just go, oh, that's complete trash. Just like I think the same thing would happen on the Martian photos. Let's say you've seen an actual unmolested photo and you've seen it and you've seen what look like structures and everything. People go, oh, that's made up. Even me, I'd probably be the same way. I'd be like, man, is this thing even real? Doesn't even look right. It's too pristine. It's just too quality. There's no way. I don't know. Kenneth Riley put on a good evening, Chris. Do you think every planet has structures on them? And do you think they will tell the truth about Antarctica? I guess that's what you were trying to put. I don't know if it just got cut off in your message or what. I don't know about structures on every planet, but the more you read on, like this is another article. Venus may have had liquid water until 700 million years ago. And of course, they give this artist rendition of what, Venus would look like, and it looked like Earth. Again, I mean, how do we know at one point in our solar system, we had this barrage of like meteorites and asteroids and just come and just slam every single planet in here? Like every planet was basically, it was like widespread meteor shower, just bombarded every planet. How do we know? Maybe when the planets were almost together, almost aligned, so to speak, and they don't have to be perfectly aligned, but they were in almost the same area and somehow, bang. How do we know? And it basically decimated every planet in our solar system, and what had life don't. It just doesn't anymore. How do we know? You guys can check that out too. I mean, that's pretty cool. I'll give you that link too. Well, see if it does it again. Yeah. There we go. Sometimes it's got too many characters in this thing. So yeah, we're good. 164 to 200. There's a link right there to that one. And I don't know about structures on everyone, but I want to believe, because I think there's a lot of, things we've seen on Venus, people have seen on Venus, Mercury. Some of them I've seen people do things on Mercury, Mars. There's moons everywhere you look. There's something. This is the way I look at it, and I've said this before. you're looking through a telescope one day back in the 60s or 50s, big telescope, you see something on the moon that doesn't belong there. Okay. Right off the back, what would be your first thought? Wait a minute. If this is on the moon and it's nobody's here on Earth because we don't have anything that looks like that or could fly to even get to the moon. Let's suppose it's in the 40s and you see this. What's the first thing you would do? Okay. First thing to go through my mind, if that's on the moon, it's got to be many other places. Simple as that, period. Because if nobody here on Earth could do that, unless, of course, there's a prior civilization, if that was the case, the first thing would come into my mind, I go, okay, so either we were around thousands of years prior to what we are today, I'm going to say this generation of people, but we were actually before we had we had a civilization prior, maybe 1,000 years ago, we went there. And if that's totally out of the question, that's fine. Because that's kind of, it's kind of like sci-fi on you guys. But let's suppose we were, well, then it would make sense. But if you said, no, there's no way that could be, well, then where did these objects come from? So if they are alien to us, excuse me, if that's true, then that tells me one thing. First thing I would think of is there has to be much more in our own solar system. Let's go find it. Now we've got all kinds of missions going to every planet and every moon in our solar system. Is it just for resources to see if there could have been life, or are they just going there to see if there's in fact structures there too? I don't know. Guys, let me know what you guys think. Yeah, makes it sound like I'm doing a video. George Nelson, I suspect that most of our own anti-gravity propulsion systems were copied from the Nazi flying bell. And then you might be right. You may actually be right because they've been toying with that kind of idea for a long time. And if you look at you got like Hitler back in the day, they was going through all of these, Sumerian text, going through all of these kind of ancient civilizations that talked about like the Mahabharata in India. They were talking about these great battles in the sky or the Vimanas and how those things flew with Mercury and spinning components in order to take flight and anti-gravity. This guy was like hell-bent on this stuff. So at some point, maybe they were just, this is why they were so far ahead of us as far as the United States. And we just don't know. I mean, it could very well be. And I think they've had this technology, anti-gravity, for quite some time. You know what I mean? Because these are the kind of people, just picture yourself owning your own aerospace company, right? Or you're just a technological firm and you build an anti-gravity. And let's say you started way back in the 40s because it was just a thought back then. Okay, you're going to continue to do it year after year after year after year till you perfect it. It's not going to take you 50, 60 years to perfect it. At some point, you're going to figure it out. So it just seems to me that any kind of propulsions, whether it be ion, plasma, they've done it all. Which one is the most efficient and which one is the most powerful? That's the ones they're going to use. It's what it comes down to, right? I just okayed HTOS or HITOS. I don't know if that's, you say it letter-wise or just whatever. And the thing just shot up. Joe Malenko, you put on there, what if the Big Bang also created a life frequency, therefore giving the universe to have life anywhere, as long as the solar system becomes eligible? Well, and like I said, I mean, if you just listen to just normal astrophysics like Neil deGrasse, when he talks about we're basically carbon life forms, if that's true, carbon is throughout the universe. If we're carbon-based, what makes we think that, us think that there's not others? How do we know that? We can't just assume, yeah, that's it. We're just the end of be all. That's it. That's it. Out of all them planets, millions and millions of clusters out there, there's no way there could be life for it to come on. You're right. The Glock, looked like a Vimana. Yeah, because you remember how it was like kind of like that weird bell shape, right? And of course, they had it would look like portholes in it at the top, as well as I think even some at the sides or on the bottom. Yeah, I mean, very much like it. That's what I'm saying. He was hell bent on getting all this ancient information, and I think he achieved it. Mr. Gassama, there's a lot of evidence of Yeah, there's a lot of evidence for lost civilizations of humans or some people like us. Yeah, I mean, these guys talk about this stuff. What I like I said, I love the Indian Sanskrit, the text, their information. They're reading. If you read up on it, I mean, they talk about, like I said, these giant battles in the sky. Their their weapons, they were brighter than the sun. I mean, were there sci-fi writers way back in the day? And how would they know to write all that stuff? It had to be something that was phenomenal for them to want to write about it. You don't just go, just pull that out of my hat and just go ahead and write that. Nobody does that. At least not back in the day. They had no reason to do that. What they do is they saw something that had an influence on them and they wrote about it, or chisel it in stone, whatever you want to do, depending on the ancient civilization. So it was literally written in stone, right? But these guys wrote about this stuff, and there's like, I don't forget how many of these Sanskrits there are. There's tons of them. And these people were, they basically wrote about what they saw. That's what it comes down to. John Che, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that last name. I imagine that there's a lot of United Nations of galactic races, and we, Earth, are like the mountain gorilla in our own planet. They visit but can't interfere with much. Well, I think they're actually guiding us, and there's no proof of that. But I mean, I think they're guiding us to a certain degree, because they're probably saying, we really don't want to see you guys annihilate yourself, and not only that, we don't want to see you ruin a perfectly good planet. And like I said, I think they're guiding us. It's like a misfit child, right? You get them to tame them down. Okay, everything's good. Give them some structure. Whatever, get him to grow, and now all of a sudden he becomes a great adult. Well, it's kind of the same thing. It's like as a human race, they're probably doing the same thing, and they're just watching out for us. They're just saying, let's just give them little information. I think our military, or the higher ups on our planet, they're the ones that's talking with them back and forth. And there's some proof to prove that. I can't, but from what I read on, and of course you can't always believe everything you read. But I want to believe that it's true, because I think we've been in contact with other beings. I hate this. Like I said, I hate to use the term aliens. You think of these little gray guys, with these little, what they used to call them, like had like these walnut eyes or whatever. I think it's more people like ourselves, as opposed to like some kind of lizard people or some goofy crap like that. I don't think that's the case. Although that can't be ruled out, because if there's other civilizations, how do we know how they breathe and how they drink and other stuff? Because they got different gases on different planets, right? How do we know? Some people say there's actually alien race right here on Earth, underground, inside Earth. No way to vet that. But that's plausible. Because there's huge caverns in within the Earth's crust and underneath the ground, right? So why, if they were here long before we evolved, or they had a hand in that, and they're just saying, well, we got these people to take care of the top part of the planet, and we just live here on the bottom. Of course, I don't know how well we're taking care of that, but you get the idea. Oh, is that what he said? You said cover UFO magazine. Tyler said it was biz he had to take care of. He put in jail? God, I hope not. But you know what I mean? The guy, I'll tell you what, I've told you guys this before. I don't know how the hell he did it. Because that will catch up to you after a while. I've seen people do these videos for a long time, and all of a sudden they fell sick. They got obese. It took up too much of their time. And he was like an insomniac, man. This guy would do videos 2-3 times a day. And I'm like, man, where do you get all of this information to bring in, But, kudos to him for doing what he did. It just that, I just think it'll wear you out. Let's just put it that way. It'll just wear you out after a while, man. I don't know how he did it, or does it, because we don't know if he's completely done, right? Although some of them people over there are brutal. Whew, man, you read some of the comments over there, cover UFO magazine. Oh my God. Who knows? Yeah, you said, Mr. Gassama. Am I even pronouncing that right? Break that down for me so I can pronounce that correctly. I hate to botch somebody's last name up. The aliens could be us from millions of years ago. And that's true. Again, let's suppose we were a civilization, we were, had tech way back in the day. How do we know something? And I just came to me. We have this theory that we may be from Mars. And even some scientists claim the same thing. Of course, they get a lot of flack for it, but whatever. Because a lot of scientists don't believe in that, at least not mainstream. But if they left on a pending doom that happened to Mars and they came here, started life here. And that, or we were at one point we were living on both planets. How do we know that didn't happen here thousands of years ago? Think about it. We were going about our business like we're doing now. We went to the moon. We had a couple failures. We crashed a couple aircraft or craft. And then, but then we had a pending doom coming. We knew it was going to come. So we took off and went to another planet. And this is thousands of years ago. How do we know? And then we progressed, we evolved and everything else. It got better and better. Now we're coming back for the people who are left. And now we have this big explosion of, people on this planet. So now they're coming back to help us out. How do we know? I mean, it's just pure speculation. You guys know that. Just thought of that off the top of my head when you said that. X15, you said, yes, there's a subterranean humans, Chris. And I believe that. I mean, even if it was just people from this planet, you can bet at some point, because you look at different places. It was a country, it was Turkey. The guy was just trying to, because they built inside their mountains, right? And the guy was trying to expand his house, and next thing you know, there's this huge underground tunnel system that they said it could house like 20,000 people. Okay, so what if there was a, I'm going to use the term breakaway, but it's not really breakaway because it's still here on Earth, right? What would happen if people just lived underground? They just liked living underground, and they just expanded and evolved underground and got a life going on, and they're not aliens at all. How do we know it's just not people like us? I mean, it could be either or, as far as I'm concerned, right? The Music Entertainment Agency, you said, could Earth be a prison for light beings, souls, who have fall, or whoever is in charge until they learn to toe the line? That's a great question. I mean, it's kind of like that. What was that? Oh man, Scientology kind of thing. If you remember how the hell, it's like a long time ago I read about that. And it was like, I forget what it was, like 36,000 years ago, something like that. This is supposed to be a prison planet. They dump people here. And so, so on and so forth. I don't know if you guys have read that stuff too. I think it's humorous, a lot of it, but who knows, right? I mean, that was all kind of a little quacked out, but just reading some of it though, it's like, well, is it possible people could have came to this planet, and just dropped us here because it's supposed to be like a prison planet? How do we know, right? Nacho, you put on the theory about other life forms inside our planet is really interesting. Why else would the Pope and presidents from around the world go visit the poles? Why did Buzz? That's a great question. I don't know if anybody's ever found out why he went, but I know he got sick there, right? And they had to fly him back or something like that. He wasn't feeling good, but yeah, it's weird how you just go into these remote parts of the world for what? Was it on his bucket list just to go there? I mean, he could have done that any time in his life if you really think about it. Yeah. How do we know? Yeah, there are, Nacho. You said there are so many questions about it. Robert Eberhard, you put on there, hi, Chris, your Adam's apple looks alien. Love checking in on you. Well, I appreciate it, Robert. Hey, I got a glow-in-the-dark Adam's apple. Sweet. That would be pretty freaky. I want to do some kind of being that does that. Every time they talk, their Adam's apple lights up. Clive Bromley, hello from little old England. Well, good to have you in there, Clive. I know it's a little bit later for you guys, but it's not too bad. James Cregan, you said on there, Cregan rather, spot on, Chris. They wrote what they saw and wrote it on stone, and there's an infinite amount of proof of that, man. But it seems to make a lot of people go blind suddenly, man. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, to me, it's like I said, nowadays, you can sit there and just make, as sci-fi writers. Why? Because we're conditioned to do that. And if you think about it, it's like, well, we can just, we're so acclimated to that kind of thing now, whether it be spacecraft, something to do with space. I mean, even back in the day, Star Trek, Space 1999, all these cool shows. I don't know if you guys ever seen, what was it, Arc 2? That was like a short series on it. It was like this modified RV that'd go around after apocalyptic Earth, and they'd help out people, and it was kind of cheesy. Back in the day, it wasn't because it seemed like because it was something new, right? Now when you watch it, it's got some more cheese than the pizza I ate yesterday, but it was actually pretty decent for the day. But yeah, I mean, they saw, like you said, going back to James when you said that, these people saw something and it motivated them to do it. It's not like I said today, we just there's writers that write this kind of stuff. These people saw something and they felt compelled to write about it or etch it in stone. So I'm not surprised. TR3B, what's going on? Good to see you in there. And Chris Chapman, you put in there Mars to Earth, correct? Well, and that's what I'm saying. And again, if you even think about the um, panspermia theory, this is what makes me believe that we'd have a lot of things we have here on Mars. We'd have the same thing here on Earth, and even if it's down to just trees and animals, because if you had the beginning of life, microbes or whatever that came from Mars, hit Earth, it started life here. Either way, we came from Mars, and because if you believe in all of the evolution, and we came from microbes, whatever, come from this, this goo. They like this, they use the term, and then you know, we just evolved and became what we are today. Well, that makes sense if you think on in that period, because either way you look at it, even if you believe in or don't believe in evolution, doesn't really matter. The whole point is, if we did come from Mars, it makes sense that we'd have pretty much the same thing here, as far as animals, creatures, and everything else, as we do on Mars. That's if the theory is correct. If not, then it could, like I said, it could be deviations from animals and critters from here, right? Some of those crafts we see came from them. Which one are you talking about? X-15? You talking about the ones from inside inner Earth or outside? I just seen it here. It just jumped up. You said on Pluto there's structures. Octavital Forced Edge. You put on there. I guess you get the phone number. Is a radio station tonight at 8 o'clock Utah. Oh, Utah time. No screen to talk about. No screen to talk about all of this kind of stuff. If you choose, any topic is welcome. Huh. Interesting. Nathan Bond, yes, Chud, cannibalistic humanoid underground dweller. Remember that cheesy show back in the 80s? That movie? Oh my God. That was pretty funny. Nacho, you said, do you think life continues when our bodies die? And you said, I do. I do too, because if you think about it, it's like we're all electrical, right? We're made of electricity. That's where we got these impulses that go from our nerves to our brain and everything. It's all electrical. And I think that's the case. I think we become this energy. We're basically in this avatar, this body. And once we die, it just escapes. And so you kind of live on, or you go back into where we came from, so to speak, the universe or whatever. Now, some people believe in more of that. They believe that the soul itself is, it's like a spirit, and you can actually go around, see your loved ones and everything else. There's quite a few variances of how you put that. When you say do you believe in like a soul kind of thing, meaning that can actually travel around and actually be with the loved ones? Or are you talking about like energy? I mean, which one do you think is more correct, Nacho? Scientology is a joke, and I think you're correct, Roy. Clive, yeah. Hey, an English takeover. Hey, no takeover, man. You guys are more than welcome here. Ward Piat, you said just got back from watching Chris's last two videos. Unbelievable stuff. Gonna have to watch a few times to get everything that's there. Great stuff. Well, I appreciate that, Mort. Yeah, have a look. I mean, like I said, I try to make it up to you guys because, like I said, I was very busy this week. Well, after Monday, because I just had come back from the long weekend, and then I was busy doing stuff around the house, things I need to get done, and I was like, man, I need to get these things out. I've got, like I said, I got like at least four or five more of these photos I need to do. I got in Photoshop, and I got about 3 or 4 of them on the other computer. So I got some work ahead of me, guys. And not to mention, you guys have been instrumental on saying, hey, on Facebook saying, hey, man, I got some other pictures for you to look at. Sometimes you guys have just asked me, what do you think about this? In other words, you're not asking for me to do a video. You're just saying, "What do you think about this?" And I give my honest opinion. You know, it may be nothing, or wow, you found something phenomenal. So but I believe in just being total honest with people. I don't want to pump anybody up if it's not. If they think, well, it's something, and I say, well, it's either a shadow or it's this or whatever. And then there's sometimes people bring me some stuff and I go, where did you find that? My God, that's insane. That's cool. And then I'll end up doing videos on it. Of course, I give them props for doing it, for them finding the stuff. Yep. Blue Sunset, you said, I think you're right about the previous life. Consider Sagan's football field of the history of the earth. We've been here for 1 square inch. Well, I think he talks about, like, when you look at these vast stars that are out there, um, when, like, when you got the Hubble taking like, literally, like, this big in the sky, and there's like hundreds of solar systems there. That's just one. And they say that's like one grain of salt on a beach, or grain of sand rather, on the beach. So in other words, there's so much more out there. And people, like, I've ran into people go, no, there's no such thing as life out there. I don't believe in that crap. Crap. How can you have such a closed mind? How can you believe that? Now, can we show them an actual alien? Probably not. Now, some people have, just some hoaxers out there that have showed like these aliens and stuff, which is not true. But, if we could, that would be awesome. It would definitely prove it 100%. But yeah. You said in there, H toss. I'm not sure if I'm even saying that right. Um, did you ever figure out the scale of the ruins all over Mars? Some seem miniature. And you're right about that. I mean, a lot of people have been saying that. Some look like stuff that's the size of stuff we're used to, like the stuff we built here. And some stuff is like super tiny. It just looks very small. And I agree with you. So, but we do have smaller actual inhabitants here on Earth, right? We have smaller people, pygmy people, um, some of these third, world, little islands, all these little islands somewhere where it's like pygmy people and they're very small. And then we've got, people that are a lot larger. Who knows? I mean, it's hard to tell. I mean, it's interesting. It's an interesting question in fact, because, it ruins all over Mars. When I've done some of these videos where it looked like these objects were real small, even in relation to the Opportunity rover, which wasn't very big at all. It was maybe quarter to half the size of the Curiosity. So, and the Curiosity being the size of a medium-sized SUV. So it's not very big. I mean, it's good size, but I mean, compared to the Opportunity and the Spirit, is very small. But even those look pretty small to those. I don't know. The music entertainment agency. You said, what about Admiral Byrd? Well, Admiral Byrd was supposedly, he's the one that supposedly flew into that, supposed to be the hole in the ground or whatever it is, opening in the ground. And supposedly, if that's who I'm thinking of. And I think he actually flew over a section of Antarctica where it was all, it was like plush green. I mean, it was just, everything was just like living on a tropical island. So it wasn't completely frozen over. And of course, there's a lot to read about Admiral Byrd. Um, Flat Earth or aliens in Antarctica? I don't know about aliens in Antarctica. Flat Earth, I don't believe in at all. At all. Aliens in Antarctica. I don't know about aliens. What I do believe is long before the Ice Age, it was plush green islands, just like Greenland and Antarctica and all that. And I think we're going to start finding a lot more structures there. People go, well, why would you say that? Well, why was it exempt from life? And just because it's just like you go to Alaska, there's life there. But Antarctica is, if you think about it, where it's in relation to like the United States or Europe or whatever it may be, why is it hard to believe there's life there? And just because, maybe, it got so cold that people just moved off the islands, moved off of there, but it doesn't mean they didn't have structures there. So I believe that there was actually structures there. And Greenland is the same way. I mean, the ice is disappearing off Greenland, and it is literally turning into a green land. So yeah. Flat Earth, I don't give any weight to that. I don't believe in that crap. So yeah. Cover UFO magazine. You said you talked about Disclosure Project. There were over 400 whistleblowers in the disclosure project, and it needs to be resurrected for round two. Yeah, I think they need to stop making more noise. I think so, and start confronting these government, uh, you know, people like NASA, all these space agencies, and these other governments, NSA, anything that's got to do with 3 or 4 letter agencies. I think they need to start really jamming it down their throat. Say, what gives, man? I like that music entertainment agency. There'll be no English takeover as long as there's a Scot. Uh, like I said, it's just awesome to have everybody here. Um, yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. Photography, light, and magic. You said at Cover UFO magazine. Was that the disclosure just before 9/11? Vincent Sakar, I think it's pronounced. Your last moon video was so obvious. I don't know how people can still think there was nothing up there. Well, like I said, I just tell people, listen, just go get these photos yourself, look them over, and you're going to see things in there that just don't belong there. I mean, even if it's the smallest shape, like a rectangle or square, and I'm talking about perfect. I'm not talking about kind of lazy kind of corners, and because that could be anything, right? I'm talking about pristine, either round things, what I call them pads, and there's like these things on top of these pads. And the more you look at it, especially the ones that are whited out, um, you completely white it out. It's funny as hell because once you blast through them, bring out any kind of dark details, my God, the stuff you find in them things are insane. And it's cool at the same time just to see. Um, I'm trying to remember who it was that said that. Um, was it SG that said that to me, Sergeant? I think it was. He's like one of many have asked me every now and then. They said, "Okay, now that we found these things on the moon and found them on Mars, um, where do we go from here? What do we do now? Nothing. We just keep looking. I, for one, want to keep looking. It's kind of like I said, it's kind of like if you've seen something on the moon yourself. Let's say you're one of the astronauts, and let's say they never even knew there was something on the moon. Let's say they go, okay, you guys are going to the moon. We're going to get some space rocks, blah, 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 blah. Just go there and go ahead and dig them up. Well, you get up there and you find this structure up there. Would you, A, stop looking just because you found that one structure? Would you keep on going? Because the first thing you're going to do is say, Houston, we found some structures here. They're not going to go, well, okay, well, that's good. Just go ahead and get back in the lunar buggy, get back in the capsule, let's go. And they're going to say, oh, really? Can you see anything else in that area? You're going to want to scout more areas. Well, it's no different. And we're going to do this solar system wide, if not longer or wider. We're going to do our search. So, yeah. Like I said, if I was to see something like that one time and it's not ours, there you go. The mad rush is on to go find out what's out there. And because we're naturally curious people anyway, we're going to do that, And I like the idea that they're looking at other planets for like life or can sustain life. In fact, what was that? There's a lot of things I found in this. It was pretty cool. I don't know if you guys heard about the NASA finds weird magnetic pulses on Mars. Did you guys read about that? And they're saying it's like at midnight. That's what's really weird, or really late at night, that they get these weird impulses, and they think. I'm trying to figure out how they worded this. Notice a weird magnetic pulse. You must be on Mars around midnight. At least that's what NASA's InSight lander is finding as it probes the planet and clues to its history. National Geographic reports. It says the robotic geophysicist, which is recording tremors, measuring ground temperatures, etc., also says there's much more magnetism in the planet's crust than expected. Now, remember we were talking about that. We were saying that there's areas of magnetic shielding, so to speak. So you can live there if you went there. In other words, you wouldn't be barbecued from the from the solar radiation because you're being protected like we here on Earth. We've got our magnetic fields that protect us from that. So now they're saying it's thicker. There's more of it. Now they're not saying it's all over the planet. It's still in different spots. But let me just read on here. It says okay, it says there's more magnetism in the planet's crust than expected. We're getting an insight into Mars' magnetic history in a way we've never had before, says planetary geologist. First, a primer. Earth and Mars each have a magnetic field. Earth's is caused by a liquid, iron-rich outer core that's been shifting for a very long time. Sadly, Mars's field collapsed about 4 billion. I don't know how they know this years ago and became much weaker version of itself. Um, that meant it could be no longer protect Mars from its sun's radiation or solar wind, which wore down much of the planet's atmosphere. Now, InSight says Mars magnetism is roughly 20 times stronger than expected, suggesting its magnetic field lasts longer than scientists had thought. See, that's what I'm saying. They're always evolving too. They're learning. That's what it's all about, a learning curve. InSight has also found electricity conducted layer far below Mars' surface that could be a planet-wide reservoir of water, roughly 2.5 miles thick. Think about that. And that could mean life, either current or long gone. Again, drip, 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 drip. Here we go. And I'm going to go ahead and drop that to you guys too, if it'll fit in there. It should. That's only 145. There's a link right there. You guys can check that out. That's pretty interesting. And this one here, it was on Gizmodo. Now, I'm not a big fan of these pages, but it says we should deliberately contaminate Mars with our microbes. Controversy study argues. Now, they're saying in this article that, NASA's doing everything they can to make sure that, we don't, do any kind of contaminating Mars, right? Which I think is horseshit, because as far as I'm concerned, we've done that already. From the first lander to, maybe a crash probe, because we've had probes crash. Either the Soviet Union has done it or we've done it. We've had probes either go right into the planet and crash. So don't tell me there's no contamination done way back in the day. So this crap it means nothing to me. I think they've done it a long time ago, and I think they've already done that. And how do we know they didn't do it purposely? They brought living organisms to see how they live, kind of like they just did to the moon recently. And to me, it's just like, if they start doing that, maybe they're trying to find out if something will grow from this. They could just drop seeds on the planet, see if it grows. The Martian soil is probably better than most of the areas here on Earth. And they've proved that by taking the chemical makeup of, let me backtrack. The lander, back in 1975, when it took the samples of that, it took a chemical reading of it. Well, they simulated that. And the only thing they had to add here was like a volcanic ash, and they put it in the mix, and they found that stuff grows extraordinary in this stuff. So yeah, it can grow pretty darn good on Mars, probably even to this day. So, yeah. And I think, like I said, there's going to be areas on Mars because of its magnetic coverage. We're going to use the term, is that I think a lot of stuff still grows there. And this may be exactly where these people are at, meaning these rovers, and where they sent them. That may be the perfect, exactly what they're doing. Because think about it. You're not going to go to because they want to colonize Mars. So what do? You're not going to go to, an area where you're going to be bombarded with sun and radiation and solar winds. You're going to try to go into an area that's protected on Mars, right? It would make sense. So what, it makes perfect sense to me. So I think that's what they're doing. Let me see. A research team is proposing a major philosophical shift in our thinking about the spread of human microbes in space and on Mars Mars in particular, believing interplanetary contamination can be inevitable, which like I said, I believe that's already happened. The team argues that the future Martian colonists should use microorganisms to reshape the red planet, a proposition deemed grossly premature by some experts. I think it's too late anyway. In a paper published last month in FEMS, Microbiology Ecology, microbiologist Jose Lopez, a professor at Nova Southeastern University in Florida, along with colleagues, I don't really care about their names, proposed a major revision to current philosophies behind space exploration and planetary protection policies as they pertain to spread microorganisms in space. Rather than worry about contamination of foreign celestial bodies, something NASA and other space agencies take great care to avoid, Lopez and his co-authors make the case that we should deliberately send our germs, get this, to outer space, and that the dissemination of microbes should be part of a larger colonization strategy to tame the climate on Mars. Wait a minute, climate? I thought we didn't have any climate. A key argument proposed by researchers is that the prevention of contamination is the near impossibility, or is a near impossibility, as the authors phase it in the study. Yeah. Let me see if there's more of that. I'm sure there was. Yeah, it goes on a little bit longer. I'll even give you guys that. You know, like I said, some of these addresses are way too long and it's hard to get these on. But that's that one there. We should deliberately contaminate. I don't know if that would be a thing to do, but yeah. Well, it could very well be. You said, Terry Morris, you said there's more gravity in places on Earth. And of course, we have different magnetic fields too, right? Than other places. Is that anything to do with magnetic pulses? Mm, it's. I don't think it does to a certain degree. I think they kind of together, but they're not. But when you get these magnetic, shielding, I'm going to call it shielding because on Mars, that's exactly what they're going to use it for, shielding. There's more of it in certain areas on here on Earth as well. But with there's so much of it's widespread, meaning it covers the planet. That's why we don't have to worry about it. But there it isn't. It's very sparse. It's very like just in certain areas. And I think that's where they're going to make their colonization. So, they've done their homework on this. They definitely done their homework. X-15. Well, what if Mars contaminate U.S.? Well, see, it was funny because they said that about the Apollo mission astronauts, where they said, well, they put them in these decompression and not so much, but decontamination. One of them looked like one of those, what do they call them? The Silver Stream, the RVs. It was like, modified and kept them in that to make sure they didn't bring anything back, microbial or otherwise. And they said they were clean of it. But that doesn't mean they were. How do they know there wasn't a substance on there that we can't even find or we can't eradicate just with a certain spray or whatever? How do we know? Yep. Don't forget the millions of meteorites over time. Yep. Absolutely. Daniel Webster, I don't know. I don't know on the CIA funded a trip to Mars. They remote viewing spies said that they had two groups of people, human size, another group that were much, much taller. Well, yeah, I read about that too. And I told you guys about that. And I don't know if I gave you the page to it, but there was where they had this remote viewer and they just gave them coordinates. That's all they did. They said, we're going to give you coordinates. We want you to tell you and tell us what you see. And they saw very large, mountainous areas. They found what looked like these square structures. He went inside. There was no roofs to them, no ceilings. And then they talked to these aliens. Supposedly, he said, talk to them. So they talked to him. And they said, yeah, we're trying to find another planet. And this is on Mars now. This is really wild. Now, whether it's true or not, can't give any weight to it because there's no way to vet it. But the way he explained it was, he said, yeah, the people that stayed behind, they said, well, there's people out there looking for another place to go because our planet is dying. And they literally seen people dying and everything else. And they were trying to find another planet. Could that have been Earth? You know what I mean? So it makes you wonder. But yeah, that was pretty cool, Daniel, because I remember that they gave him like 2 or 3 different, coordinates on Mars. Of course, the guy didn't know it. He had no clue. And he just, okay, I'm just going to, he says, well, and there's a couple of times where he hesitated. He was like, I really don't want to say. No. Tell us what you see. And so then he come out with all of these things. And he said, there's actually tall humans here, or beings rather. And it's okay. Can you talk to him? Talk to one of them. And they got him to talk to him. And it's really odd. But if that's true, kind of makes sense. Think about it. If they came to Earth, kind of makes sense. Yeah, Clive. Make it so, number one. Yeah, James Cragen, you said that. Yeah, man. What about all of the so-called space junk they dumped around the planets? They didn't care about that contamination, did they, man? Well, and that's the whole thing. Again, like I said, what about the probes that went to Mars? And some of them were just supposed to fly by, but crashed. There was a couple of landers that the Soviet Union said, and of course, a lot of these, in the very beginning, a lot of these spacecraft crashed right there on the launch pad. They never even took off. But then you try to go to Mars and land it, you crash there. What about all that back then? You think they actually watched out for that back then? I don't think so. I don't think that's the case at all. James. I don't know why that's even helpful review, but anyway, you put them, bang them like buttons and share, guys. Come on, bang, bang. I don't know why they do that. It said hold it for whatever. I don't get it, but slam it anyway. Bam. Renee Cruz, you put on there Elon Musk and Sir Richard Branson are going to fly people to colonize Moon and Mars. In the movie, they're going to show aboard this the spaceship. Is Forbidden Planet and Ray Harryhausen's Earth versus the Flying Saucers. Well, like you said, Richard Branson also is like kind of like a Elon Musk, right? He's a multi-billionaire, whatever, richest guy, and he wanted to actually take people for like I think it was like $100,000. They would take you in like a 5-minute flight, so you'd literally go up, go into the atmosphere on the lower edge of the atmosphere, and then come back down. So you'd be able to see the Earth and everything else. Kind of a steep amount of money for that kind of, but I mean, the guy's got to make money somehow, right? Like he needs to. But I'm sure all of the top notch people are going to want to do that. That'd be something. That would actually be something to see. That would be pretty cool. Just think about how flat Earth is. Oh my God, it is round. Crap. Elohim Deleth. Megalithic structures equals rebar, metal, and concrete. We need to discover lime outside the Earth. Erosion of rebar. Sand and lime leaches out of the foundation. Lime is the answer. That's true. Yeah, I mean, there was a couple, speaking when you said that, metal and concrete and the rebar, that was a video I did a while back that looked like rebar sticking out of this, it looked like concrete laying on its, like from end to end, and it had what looked like just rebar coming out of the top of it, right? It was really weird the way that thing, the way it looked, but cool at the same time. Engage. Yeah, exactly, Terry. Yeah, they said NASA stated they will announce life on Mars in 2 years, but the world isn't ready for it. How do they know they are this already? And that's my point. I think they've been doing this, and we talked about this right at the top of the show here, where literally I'm going, wait a minute. It's almost like they already know the answer, but they're just saying, well, we'll let you guys know. We'll let the information. We just need to do a few more tests before we let this out. Come on. They know it. They've known it since they've landed it the first time. Like I said, even the Viking lander seen stuff, probably structures all over the damn place that time right then and there. So it took us a long time to get a vehicle, the rovers, to go up there, build something that will go there. First of all, you need good rockets to be able to get there. And then, send something up there. So they sent the smallest thing in 1997, the Sojourner rover, as well as the lander that was there. So, and of course, the rocks are so darn big. This Sojourner wasn't very big. It was like this little Tinker toy, right? 6 wheels, but still, it didn't make it very far, and it ran into a rock or something like that. And we went over a couple boulders, but then it just stopped. I don't know if it just didn't work out. But think about it. The rover was there if it makes it. In other words, if it drives around, takes other close-up pictures of something, great. That's only the icing on the cake. But the lander is probably what looked around, eyes and ears, looked around, and, sent up the information back to NASA or whoever it may be, right? So, yeah. No, this was, it's, Roy, this was, you said, where did you learn this, Terry? Well, Terry's talking about this article I already sent earlier, and you can check it out again. And it says right there, NASA chief scientist, we're close to finding and announcing alien life on Mars, but is the world ready? So that's it right there if you weren't here to see it. Renee, you said remote viewers rather saw extraterrestrial aliens and UFOs on Mars in some kind of Area 51 base during MIB remote viewing experiments. Well, like I said, I mean, they've seen all kinds of crazy things. They, like the people. What was really cool about the stories, I like the story what they came out with when they said, there's aliens, there's other inhabitants here. Talk to them, and so the guy actually talked to them through this remote viewing, and like I said, they were just talking with each other, and they literally said, and I'm not sure if they. I'm trying to remember if they said it was like thought, in other words, the guy could talk to them, but he had to listen through thoughts. I forget what that was on that, but it doesn't matter. The fact that they said we're a dying planet and we have other people of ourselves looking for a place to go. That to me was fascinating because I'm saying to myself, is it where we came from? Did we actually come from Mars? And there was an actual write-up about that. There was, and I can't remember where that paper is now, I'll try to dig that up. But had that remote viewing. I don't know if you know where it is, Renee, because if you know where it is, drop a link and I'll give it to everybody else. But it literally says that, and it has the guy talking back and forth, the guy conducting the experiment, and then you got the remote viewer, and they're going back and forth. And you can see that like it's like they're just going back and forth on this conversation, and I found it very interesting. Now, if that's true, that's wild. Yeah, Dan, you're right about that. What that does is it puts at a reach for 99% of the people. Unless of course I think you're talking about the actual ride into the atmosphere. Yeah, unless of course you're filthy rich. Yeah, I just sell your house and everything you own. You might be able to get $100,000 and then plus some to blow. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's going to be for like the people that are filthy rich. That's basically what it comes out to. So I can't see myself doing that. Um, but it is what it is. Tarot medium, you put on there. Aliens are physically able to handle being off planet. Human beings start to deteriorate the further they get from the planet. Well, I don't know. They actually said our bodies are more in tune with Mars. Look that up. They said their bodies, the human bodies, are literally attuned to actually the conditions on Mars. That we're actually better off there. This is the reason why we deteriorate more here on Earth. And that we have our bodies, they're worse than they are, and the ailments as far as our bones and everything else. They said that due to the less gravity, we were better off there than here. So I found that fascinating too, and it makes sense because it's the Martian day is just I think it's like 24 hours and 40 seconds. It's weird. It's just about the same thing as Earth. Um, so a full day is pretty much the same, but they say just the conditions on Mars where our bodies are more in tune to that. Well, we can have M. Bronte, you put on there, if we can create a gravity craft, humans could probably live in space for years, but humans need gravity. We can create our own gravitational field in a craft. I'm sure they've done it already. There you go, Dirk. Yeah, copper bomb Mars with corn. Um, I'm sure they've already done it. Like I said, I've got this speculation. It's speculative, but I mean, when I said that when they talked about the nuclear explosions over the Martian atmosphere, it was just over the ground, but not on the ground. And they say it devastated the planet. How do we know what that was? Was it something we sent there? Let's suppose for a moment it was humanoids or people like us, that didn't have any way to protect themselves. Would they actually annihilate them so we could take off the planet? Again, pure speculation. Or was it something they did to themselves? Was it something an alien race did to them? How do we know? But um, but it's kind of weird. It's like it happened then. Now we're going to Mars and we want to colonize it. Wait a minute. If there was two explosions there, why would you take the chance if there's so much radiation? But since 1941 to this point, talking about what, 75, 80 years, give or take. Um, the nuclear, basically fallout is gone. And like I said, these look up where these rovers are at and these landers were all at. They're just south of both of those explosions. Why would you need to do that? Think about it. And most of those crafts or any landers or any of that sort, they're next to the equatorial region. Why would you be there? What? Because every planet would probably have most chances of life being in the warmest section or part of their planet. That's why we're there. More chance of finding anything alive. What else? Just basically that. I mean, and that's why I think they're there. Yeah, Roy, you're right about that. It said you said it could have been a civil war. How do we know? Yeah, Brett Butterfield, you put on there spine conditions suit Mars gravity or something like that. Yeah, the way they said it was it's like our bodies are just made it would actually be better on Mars, and you'd have less deterioration because over the course of time you basically shrink. Right? They say as you get older you shrink because compression of your body. But if you weighed less, this wouldn't happen. And now, so it makes you wonder if if Mars the way it is right now is bad for humans. I don't think it is. And I think you and I, we could all walk on that planet with no problem. As long as you're in the magnetic field areas, you'd be fine. In other words, no solar radiation hitting you or any of that sort. solar winds. You'd be protected under that. And, if it gets extremely cold, people go, you don't understand, man. It gets to like 145 degrees below, zero, Fahrenheit. Okay. You think nowhere on this planet's ever dropped to 145, if not a whole lot more excessive? Come on. We're not stupid. We can get inside of a structure, go underground where it's a continuous temperature at all times. Sure. And you protect yourself and you come out when it's warm out. So, Tanya Lahaya, I have to go. Great channel. I'm glad I found it. Thank you, Chris. Have a great time, everyone. Nice to meet you all. Well, Tony, thanks for stopping in. Appreciate you. Can stop in anytime. We do this every Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern time. So stop in anytime. And glad to have you. Smack White, you put on there, main reason they are on Mars is to find evidence that connects us to the species that they won't tell us used to live there. Well, again, it may be just us. And that's a wild thing, too. I mean, if we were Martians back in the day and, hundreds, maybe 1,000 years, not even quite that long. I don't think it's even quite that long. Something tells me that 1941 on that planet is what done it in. Because a lot of people question, why isn't this stuff gone by now? In other words, let's say there's metals. Why isn't it gone by now? Well, it's only 75, 80 years. And depending on if it's aluminum or aluminium, depending on how you want to pronounce it, if it's that kind of metal on there, why would it go anywhere? So it makes sense that this stuff is still there. And some of it may be getting uncovered from windstorms and stuff like that. How do we know? I just think, we can speculate a lot of stuff, but there's a lot of stuff we can actually show facts from the stuff we've read up on different papers, science papers from Mars and the, just the observations that the photos we're seeing. I think there's just a lot we can learn from just that alone. Debbie Young, you put on there, seems to be going on with increase in sightings and finding war structures on the moon and on Mars. Do you think something's going to get ready to happen? I don't know. It's a tough question because up to this point, because everybody's got a phone now. Everybody's like, oh yeah, take some pictures, man. That'd be awesome. Everybody's got a camera now. But back in the day, how do we know this wasn't happening even back then? We're just now seeing a whole lot more of it because a lot more people got cameras, got regular cameras with telephoto lens, so on and so forth. How do we know this didn't happen a long, long time ago? And we're just all starting to see it a whole lot more. It's being brought to the public a lot more because, again, a lot more people have a lot more cameras and stuff. So, let me see. Andrew Haberman, you put on there, I think most of Mars is hot during the day and very cold at night, just like the desert here on Earth. Absolutely. And you see the temperature swings there in the desert, right? I mean, insane. It's not even, you think, oh my God, it's sweltering. Yeah, wait till the nighttime. Some of these deserts, man, you freeze your ass off. That's pretty much it. Sparkus Areolis watched your two moon videos today. Awesome stuff. The moon seems to be like layers of an onion. Multiple shells made of stuff of the moon, so it blends as well. Well, I find that interesting too because when they say they hit it with the rocket boosters, right? It rung for hours, right? And then they found titanium, different metals on the moon. Okay, knowing that, and then we see these things that are crashed on this planet. The moon rather, because I'm thinking because you said Earth, it's a lot like Earth. To me, it just makes more sense that a lot of this could be like when I showed you the pictures, it looked like openings, and then there was things inside these openings. It's kind of like it was manufactured that way, but to be camouflaged. So again, if this moon, again, pure speculation, if it came from somewhere else and it came here, how do we know that they knew that wherever they were at the time, they knew by being camouflaged, people wouldn't, you know what I mean? They wouldn't be seen. And these small holes in the ground with these structures sitting outside them and everything else, that was a way to camouflage. If you're flying above, you probably wouldn't even notice it. But at an angle, you could probably see it quite well. I don't know. But now, was something ready to happen? It could very well be if we're starting to see a more of an influx in the past few years, which I believe we have, of these sightings. Now, whether there are governments or something outside this planet, then I would say something's going to happen. I mean, and I don't mean like to scare people kind of thing, 'cause I think that's nonsense. I think that if more and more people are seeing these things, who knows? Again, I don't fear aliens. I don't know about any of you guys. You guys can give me. We should take a poll on that. Are you afraid of if aliens showed up at this planet tomorrow? Now, the reason why I don't is, and I don't believe in things like Independence Day, um, because if it was going to happen, it would have happened a long time ago. They could have easily taken this planet when we had no kind of weapons except for arrows and bows and arrows and stuff like that. I don't believe they're a threat. Now, if one day an alien race does come, and it may have already, and we fought them off, I don't know. But if we end up being like an Independence Day, then well, then good knowing you. Elohim, you put on there. Yeah, seems we all find a body deterioration state here to grow old outcome. Perhaps further away from Earth's star equals longer life, less rotation around the star, and what's thought as a solar year. Well, that may be well. Listen, it makes you wonder if you could live, since you were a child on Mars, and your twin lived here. What would be the difference? Meaning, growing up, you're an infant. Would you grow much taller because there's less gravity? That's a good possibility. And I don't know if you guys seen that movie. There was one about there was a kid that was from Mars. Do you guys see that? And I don't mean like that weird documentary. The kid says, I don't know if he's from Russia or wherever he was. He said he was came from Mars, was on Mars or whatever. I'm talking about this was an actual movie, and I'm trying to remember what it was. But anyway, he had a problem living here on Earth. But can you imagine, though, as a study, if there was a twin, a woman had twins, one was literally a child, a baby, grew up on Mars, one here on Earth. I'll bet they'd be a whole lot taller on Mars than they would be here. And if they ever came here, what would the oxygen be like? What would be the atmosphere be so heavy on their lungs? And then if you try to take the guy or the person, woman or man, once they've grown up, take them and put them on Mars, they'd be probably gasping for air, unless they're in the very low part of Gale Crater, where the atmosphere is much, it's got an actual water cycle and it's atmospheric and everything else. They'd probably be okay. Anywhere else, they'd probably suffocate. I don't know. Well, that's what I was thinking too. Daniel, you put on there, I forgot which tribe in Africa, but one of them said that the moon was brought here, Connell Locke and John Egg, and placed where it is now by gods from another planet, and that's not the only tribe. Well, that's what I've heard. Oh, you're talking about, yeah, Libby just answered that for you. That was one of them, the Dugan tribe, the Dogon tribe, that talked about that they're gods from the heavens and everything else. And I think that was one of them actually said that they brought the moon here. So yeah, that would be weird to actually see. Can you imagine that being way back in the day and seeing like there's nothing in the sky, everything's just fine. All of a sudden, there's a big bright ball in the sky. What the hell is that? I mean, if you want to really get sci-fi on this, we can just say, well, what happens if the thing can move on its own? The moon can literally move on its own. Now, that's really far-fetched, of course. But they say the moon's actually moving away an inch every year from its orbit here on Earth. So that would be something that's pretty weird. Of course, it'd be better than coming an inch closer every year. That would be bad. But yeah. Martin, Bermudas, you said, hey, Chris, let's occupy Mars. Let's do it. We can do that. Just come up with a spaceship and we'll go there. Maybe that messes with the tides, Dirk said. Well, but what was the tides like before the moon, if that's the fact? If it is a fact that the moon was here and it came here, meaning it was brought here, what was it like prior to that? I don't know. Smack White, you said they also say the moon is shrinking. Yeah, they say it's like caving in on itself. I heard about that too. It's like, so maybe that's where all these cracks are coming from. Kind of weird. It's like compressing into itself. That'd be something to say. Blue Sunset said gravity is in the fabric of space. Objects bend it by simply existing. To exist without bending, it would be take some kind of technology. That's true. Yeah. Speaking of which, Elohim, you put on there only black hole things I've seen, and literally was the photo of a black hole. Did you see that one too? They had in the news lately. They said literally there's a black hole that literally decimated a planet. Just recently, it was, I don't know if it was yesterday or the other day. Talked about how a black hole literally devoured a planet, and they've actually seen that. I was like, what? Let me see what this is. I don't know if you guys have seen this too. This that planet, the exoplanet. It says it was Gliese 581G. And they said this odds of life on newfound Earth-sized planet 100%. Astronomer says, which I find really interesting. This history, it says this story was updated. Okay, 8:55, and this was on. What was this? This is September 29th. So of course, this was 2010. But and Gliese, that's been in the news for a while there. But let me get rid of that. It just popped over. An Earth-sized planet has been spotted orbiting a nearby star at a distance that would make it not too hot and not too cold. Basically, the Goldilocks zone, right? Comfortable enough for life to exist. Researchers announced today, September 19th. If confirmed, the exoplanet named Gliese 581G would be the first Earth-like world found residing in a star's habitable zone, a region where a planet's temperature could sustain liquid water on its surface. And the planet's discoverers are optimistic about the prospects of finding life there. Yeah. And they also got this video here. It says Russia's humanoid robot and space station. Russian humanoid robot and space station. And it shows like this thing actually moving. I'll give you that too, guys. You can check that. It's pretty cool. Pretty interesting stuff there. But like I said, if you've seen that before, that exoplanet, Gliese 581G, but it goes on and on. I didn't read the whole story to you, but it's something to look into. But it says 100% chance of life. What the? And it says, what's going on with Elon Musk and head of NASA? Imagine that. NASA's Jim Bridenstine and SpaceX Elon Musk. He's kind of like took a little jab at him here and there, but I didn't read the whole story. I just started reading that. It was pretty interesting. I'll just drop that to you guys if you wanted to check it out. Like I said, I didn't even read the whole thing yet, but just made that one there. And that address. This other one too is Science Alert. It was on sciencealert.com. A mind-blowing study just confirmed Earth had living organisms 3.5 billion years ago. Surprise, surprise. No, I'm not surprised. Not the least bit. Again, we're going back, and the more we go back and the more we study, we come up with new instruments and stuff like that. We're finding out we're a lot older than we used to be, and there's a very good chance we could have came from anywhere. And like I said, some of the scientists, I don't know if you want to call them rogue scientists, but they were just saying, no, it's absolutely, we believe that we might have been, we are the Martians, and not everybody, all these other mainstream scientists, oh, these guys are kooks. Why? Why? Debbie Young, you said, since the government has been more than, quotes, open, I just get this feeling that they're preparing us for something. What it is, I don't know. I'm just not easy about it. I mean, all for like you sees what's. I think it just stopped at that point because sometimes people try to put a whole, paragraph type thing and it doesn't go through, right? I don't worry about it. I wouldn't worry about it, Debbie. A lot of these, you'll see these channels, these hoaxer channels, fearmongers and everything else. I don't think that'd be the case. Like I said, I mean, to me, like I said, if any race wanted to, decimate this channel or take it over, I'm thinking this channel, right? Oh no, they're after us. If they wanted to take this Earth over, they could have easily done that. Come on, a long time ago. Especially when we didn't have the weapons we have today or the technology we have today. They just, these guys are too easy. Let's just peg them off. I think that's the case. I don't think you'd have to worry about anything like that. I'm just not into stuff like that where people are like, let's get all the masses worried and everything else. There's no reason to believe that. Let's just put it that way. And believe me, if I thought there was if I've heard something or read something in the air and I saw something, because been a couple rocks lately, right, out in space that's literally NASA. I didn't see it. They said, "How the hell do you not see that?" You know what I mean? But they said, it literally would. A couple of them came by, and they don't mean to like just skim the atmosphere, but some distance away, and they said, "Well, we haven't seen it." So now they're trying to get more and more of these, satellites out there to actually see these things, because now they're saying there's going to be more of these rocks coming in from other solar systems. And what was that one? It's called Oumuamua, whatever it was called. Uh, but they're expecting more things like that to come through. So it makes you wonder what would happen if we had people on Mars colonizing Mars and Earth took a strike. The human race continues to live on. This is the reason why the big rush. This is the reason why we want to keep doing this. Renee, you put on there, well, yeah, you put on the extraterrestrial aliens figured out God's creation, mathematical computer code equation embedded in the fabric of all reality, space time, multi-dimensional, etc. That makes him omnipotent UFO. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. They're going to be a lot more if they could space travel, and I mean without any complications. In other words, they do this like on an everyday basis, just fly to different planets, and that would be awesome. You know what I mean? To just get on, a spacecraft, just fly to another planet, go visit some relatives or whatever. It'd be pretty funky, wouldn't it? But they're much more intelligent than us. If this, and I don't mean like we are, because we're just spacefaring now. We're just starting to get out there. We're going to try to colonize Mars, so on and so forth. Now if we did this in a regular routine, meaning, oh yeah, they're just flying off to Jupiter today and going off to this, the moon Titan, and so on, then we're a lot more advanced. So they've got to be. So they figured it out, meaning space travel, whether through wormholes, bending space and time, so on and so forth. They figured all that out. Come on. Terrell Medium, I just subscribed to your channel. This is absolutely fascinating to me. Well, I appreciate that. Welcome aboard. Well, again, I tell everybody on here, and everybody's the same as I am. Listen, I'm just as human as anybody else here. It's a learning curve for all of us, right? Sometimes you guys will bring me some information I didn't know what about. So to me, it's like if you learn something new every day, you're still growing, right? And that's the whole idea of it, to bring this stuff to light. Get everybody. It's like a big round table, right? And you just learn something new every day. I do. I try to, and that's what it's all about. Yeah, they've discovered several more of those rocks. Yeah, absolutely, and they're saying that maybe more. So I don't know if they see these things coming um, from a distance. They can see like a bunch of rocks. Now they might not be saying it's going to hit Earth, but they just want to keep an eye on these things. So it makes sense. Um, I'd be, like I said, if something was to hit this planet and it's the size of that Oumuamua, whatever it's called, oh, good luck with that. I forgot how big they said this thing was, but my God, it's just, I don't know if it was, how big was that? Was it a couple of football fields, 3 football fields, I think, which is a good sized rock. And that would be insane. You hit a good populated area, it's all over. SC, you said, Chris, I got to go. Can you check out my channel? I started. You'll see the first plants that will be grown in space colonization of Mars. SC, drop the link. I'll throw it down and I'll check it out myself as well. Throw it down. I'm going to be leaving myself too. We've been on there for 2 hours and 35 minutes. But yeah, drop it, SC, and we'll do that. Renee Cruz, you said the equation makes God omnipotent. Well, if you want to pronounce it like that, makes ET aliens omnipotent. Took the equation to the 3D printer. Out came a 3-dimensional UFO. All galaxies, universes since Big Bang Theory is shaped like a big ass UFO. I've seen that before too. That's weird that you mentioned that. Yeah, that's weird that you mentioned that. Like I said, SC, if you can drop the link and I'll check it out. I don't know if you did. I'll check it out myself. I don't know, Martin. You put on there, hey Chris, how close is Apophis is going to get to Earth? I'm not sure. I know there's different rocks they're giving these names to. They're giving these weird names to these rocks, but um, the I forget what they said the distance is. I read about it, and I haven't read about it again. I forgot, but they're trying to keep an eye on these things. My biggest fear is if they seen a rock. Now, let me ask you guys a question before I go. What would happen if they seen a large rock they knew that would devastate this planet? You think they'd tell us? I don't think so. Suzanne Ann, oh, sorry you missed it. Sorry we missed you as well. Glad you still made it in there to say hello. Exactly, Big Al 311. Yeah, they didn't see that last one until it passed Earth. Exactly. So what's going on that they can't keep an eye on this crap? I mean, you got 10,000 satellites out in space. You can't do that, right? Yep. Where did it go? I'm just watching this last one here. Yeah, exactly. James Craig, and you put on there, let's not forget about the one that they missed that blew up over Russian aerospace a few years ago. Absolutely. Remember that one? My God. And that wasn't very big at all. I mean, that was just, but it was enough to rattle how many city blocks and blow friggin' windows out and everything else. Great questions, Smack White. You said on there, how many times do you think the human civilization has been reset? If you go by the Mayans, this is the fifth cycle. We're in the fifth cycle. Now, whether it be water, fire, or whatever, it's basically just about killed off the civilization, our civilization, but we were reborn or we just grew, meaning into more numbers. So according to them, five times. This is in the five cycle, so four times prior. Now, whether that's true or not, it's hard to tell. But it's not out of the realm if you really think about it. I don't think it's out of the question. Yeah. God bless you as well. Love to you as well, Susan. Like I said, we try to get on here about 5 p.m. Eastern time. Sometimes, we just can't get to it, and I understand. It makes total sense. But I'm glad you stopped in there anyway, regardless. SC, is that the name of your channel, or do you actually have a channel name? Just give me the channel name then, and I'll look it up, and we'll just everybody else can look it up as well. Clerks 93, yo, what's up? What's going on? Jennifer Weld, hey. Cosmic, you put on the coming of Christ is ET incarnation on the planet. All right, Brett, I'm doing the same thing. I'm jumping off this too as well. You said eyes closing, late as all. Have a good one. You do the same thing, Brett. Have yourself a good night and a good week coming up there. Um, James, thanks for being there as well. Everybody being on here, you guys are awesome. Thanks for the support on the channel. You guys are awesome for that as well. I love having you guys on here. And this is I missed it last week, and I just wanted to be here. So I'm glad this is we can get back in there and have this conversation. You guys are awesome as usual. I don't think there's a better community out there, to be truthful with you. So keep on doing what you're doing as well, and we'll keep making the videos. And there you go. And like I said, we got a couple changes coming up. It's for the good. And I'm hoping I can make this happen within another week, maybe two at the most. So just keep watching, and like I said, just keep checking back. I know some of you guys have said that, hey man, for some reason I'm not getting any kind of notifications. That's why I said just check back. Make sure you hit that little bell. If you've subscribed, make sure you hit that little bell on the side. And this way, if you haven't, maybe that's why you're not getting notifications. But sometimes you guys say, well, it's still same way. So I'm not getting them, but just keep checking back. We try to get them out at least twice a week. Not this week, of course, because like I said, I was busy, but I still try to knock them out one way or the other. So Arts and Crafts, thank you, sir. Oh, ma'am. You said you subscribed. Thank you. Welcome aboard. Joel Malenko, good night. Good night, fam, she said. Dizzles. Renee, good night. Good seeing you in there as well. I'll answer this last one, Spooner, you put on here because you only put on it 17 times. Here's one for you. Do you think that the Project X are trying to capture the Black Knight? Um, I don't know about that. I don't think that they are. I think they're already aware of it, and they probably already inspected this thing because it's been out there for years, so they probably don't see it as a problem. And I think if they were going to capture it, they would have done this with one of the space shuttles a long time ago. Think about it, because it had its own arm. It could literally take satellites, because that's what it would do, right? It would take satellites and put it out into space and then let it go. So it wouldn't surprise me if they could just grab this thing or at least tow it, right, and inspect it more. And if they, I would have to think if they did, um, if they wanted to know more about it, they've already inspected it. So maybe they just don't think it's anything. It's just part of space junk. So it's hard to tell, right? Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Always appreciated. Sound like the video? You like that? But glad I had everybody on board. Glad I could be with you here tonight with you guys. So as usual, you guys are awesome. Again, thanks for the support. Without you guys, we wouldn't be here. So thanks. Everybody have yourselves a good night. I know some of you are already into Monday, so you guys have a good day. Everybody else have a good night and a good week coming up. And we'll talk to you soon. Peace.